Lan Ying's voice sounded. I see. Shu Luo said. I saw the memories of several people, one person, or two copies. Shu Luo asked this because he wanted to know, can Lan Ying see the memory of the beast? If you can see the memory of the beast, you will make a lot of money. Definitely. Shu Luo didn't hold out much hope for this either. After all, beasts don't have entities, and Lan Ying peeps at other people's memories through their brains. Beasts have no entity and no brain, so there is a high probability that they cannot be peeped. As expected. Lan Ying replied, I only saw one memory, and it's that girl's. Hear this. Shu Luo nodded slightly, not too surprised. He immediately asked, can you find where the hand will be? Shu Luo was going to investigate the beast carefully. As for where to check, it is naturally the place where you know the best about beasts. The place that knows the best about beasts is naturally the stronghold of beasts, the hand. The reason why I went to investigate was to prevent the beast from making any bad moves, and at the same time to prevent the beast from escaping. After all, he hasn't studied the beast originally. This first-generation demon, whose rank is comparable to that of Dormammu and Mephisto, has fallen to this point for unknown reasons. But make no mistake, this guy is originally a treasure and definitely holds a lot of knowledge. Naturally, he couldn't let go of this kind of treasure. Although there is no means of research yet, it does not mean that there will be no means of research in the future. So Shu Luo can't let this guy go, and at the same time, he must guard against this guy. Especially this guy has been strangely silent recently. This made Shu Luo even more suspicious. Lan Ying immediately said, Boss, I can find it. In that woman's memory, I easily found the position of the hand. Before this woman, she was from the hand. Over there are a group of high-level members of the hand, as well as batches of ninjas. Hearing this answer, Shu Luo was quite satisfied. Very well. I have found the location of the Hand Association, and the next step is to go to the Hand Association to find out what I want. Come down first. Lan Ying immediately jumped off Shu Luo's body. Fell aside. At this time, Shu Luo walked to the laboratory where the symbiote was. Lan Ying hurriedly followed Shu Luo, follow suit. Like a healed pug, Shu Luo came to the descendants of the riot. Lan Ying even went up to rub Shu Luo's feet. Seeing this scene, the riot inside the glass box cursed inwardly, sycophant. At this moment, Riot's son has grown up, already half the size of his face. Soon to be fully formed. Shu Luo nodded slightly. Very well, it will take shape soon, and we can start researching it. He touched his chin. But this guy doesn't seem to have self-awareness. Shu Luo was not surprised by this. After all, not all symbionts have wisdom. For example, Venom later had no self-awareness. Shu Luo is going to develop more symbiote technology starting from this riot offspring. Undoubtedly, he will create a group of symbiote fighters for his own use. For example, Number 0 after mind transformation can use symbiote technology to create a more powerful symbiote fighter, plus the originally powerful ability. At that time, if they face off against the people from Essex, or even the other Number 0 teams in Essex, it is estimated that the face of the other party will be very exciting. After reading, Shu Luo walked outside. He's ready to go to the hand. Let's go. Go find it. Blue Shadow nodded quickly. Jumping up, the body is elongated, just like ramen. Immediately one end fell on Shu Luo's shoulder. Then the body contracted, and the other end also fell on Shu Luo's shoulder. Immediately, Shu Luo went out. On the tall buildings, galloping. Inside the base of the hand, several senior executives sat on a single sofa in a room. Gather around a coffee table. There is steaming tea on the tea table. All the senior officials frowned slightly. It's been so long, why hasn't the leader come back yet? It stands to reason that the leader has already reached the final step of integration, so as long as Mr. Cthulhu accumulates his strength a little, he should become a tree. It doesn't make sense why it took so long. Yeah, what happened in the middle? Could the leader be captured by some powerful being? Taken away by the one in the Himalayas? Or was it taken away by the master of a certain dimension? Otherwise, the leader should have completed the integration and then become invincible. The high-level people suspected that the leader was seen by a supreme being in the process of looking for the mysterious person, and then he was taken away. The old woman sighed and said worriedly, the leader will not be in this state forever, he will never die, and he will never come back. Wouldn't it be that the Lord Cthulhu was also trapped there? Isn't that why we won't see Lord Evil God anymore? When the rest of the people heard the old woman's words, their faces changed immediately, and a trace of panic flashed in their eyes. After all, for their hand, Lord Cthulhu is their core pillar. Most importantly, without Lord Heretic God's life-prolonging technique, These old things would not be able to continue to live forever. We'll also enter like everyone else. An old man clenched his fists. Impossible. Lord Cthulhu will definitely be back soon. Your Majesty, Cthulhu has so many secret methods and is omnipotent. It will definitely return soon. No one can keep Lord Cthulhu trapped forever. The rest of the people nodded when they heard this. Yes. There is nothing that can trap Lord Evil God. Good. Shortly after, Shu Luo came to the headquarters of the Hand. It was a relatively remote building, located in an abandoned factory building, full of a sense of desolation and dilapidation. From the outside, there seemed to be no one in the building. He hurriedly walked towards the inside. At the same time, the powerful hearing and perception ability are released. Immediately felt one of them. The blue shadow pointed the way on Shu Luo's shoulder. Guidance to where those higher-ups might be located. When Shu Luo entered the building, he was quickly discovered. Even if he is invisible, but after all, it is seen by thermal imaging and the like. So Shu Luo stopped pretending and showed his body. Immediately, a ninja rushed out. Shu Luo waved his hand. Immediately, the invisible position was released. In an instant, those ninjas were frozen in place, unable to move. Every ninja felt the strangeness of his own body, showing a trace of fear of the unknown. Haven't waited for them to fully react. Shu Luo had a thought. Powerful forces act on them. It's like being hit by a truck. Whoosh. One after another silhouettes shot out backwards and hit the wall heavily. A mouthful of blood spurted out. My whole body was in severe pain, and I lay on the ground moaning in pain. Shu Luo. Lan Ying, grab a memory. For Shu Luo, Lan Ying now has another job. That is to use it to spy on the characteristics of other people's memories, copy others' memories, and obtain the information he needs. Inside the room where the upper floors are located, a siren sounded. Immediately a ninja rushed in. The old woman frowned and said, "What's going on?" The ninja quickly half-kneeled. Someone broke in. Immediately handed over a tablet. On the top of the plate is a thermal imaging pattern. From above, a man was seen entering the building. Then the thermal imaging turned into an ordinary surveillance video, and I saw a well-dressed person. The letter from the gang leader poked his head forward, and he felt that figure looked familiar. Narrowing his eyes slightly, he looked carefully. Suddenly exclaimed, This guy, this is the mysterious person." The rest of the people also stared wide-eyed. This guy turned out to be that mysterious person. How did he find it? Why does he know where we are? Immediately, they saw on the screen that the people on their side rushed up. In the end, he rushed up and suddenly froze in place. Every ninja is fixed in place. Seeing this scene, several people frowned tightly. This is? Our people are bound? Is this some kind of magic? Immediately afterwards, I saw all the ninjas flying out, as if hit by a train, fell on the wall, and immediately lay on the ground moaning in pain. See here. The high-level members of the Hand Association all took a slight breath. This guy, with a single wave of his hand, defeated our group of ninjas. Damn. Why is this guy like this? The high-level people looked at each other, and they all saw the worry in each other's eyes. No, we have to get out of here quickly. Then we may be chased by this guy. The rest of the people also nodded. As old monsters who have lived for hundreds of years, they don't want to take risks. The other side. Shu Luo also heard the conversation of several high-level officials. He immediately determined the direction of the sound. At the same time, through the powerful and special hearing, the surrounding environment is also vaguely imaged in his mind. He could barely feel that in a certain room, those high-level people were standing there, and they were about to leave. He sprinted in that direction. After Lan Ying copied a person's memory, quickly followed Shu Luo's pace. It starts to guide the location. Ninja rushing up. Shu Luo all waved his hands. The invisible position explodes. In an instant, one by one, they lost their combat power. The high-level executives also saw Shu Luo sprinting. Damn. This guy seems to be running towards us. We have to run away quickly. According to his speed, he will reach our position soon. Yes. Run away. He got up quickly, walked to the side, and came to the side of a bookcase. Pushed a book. Suddenly a screen was displayed on the wall. A senior executive stands in front of the screen. The screen flicked across his eyes. Ever since. The bookcase is slowly opening. Followed by the opening, there is an extremely thick alloy door behind the bookcase. Behind is a tunnel, which is their special escape route. Seeing the alloy door open, several people showed a hint of joy. It was slightly able to accommodate one person, and several high-level officials quickly got in. Soon. They entered the after the road. They quickly closed the alloy door. I saw the heavy alloy door close. Immediately, a group of people breathed a sigh of relief, and painted faces appeared on their faces. Finally safe. The heavy alloy gates shut, unable to open unless they had their irises. And such a heavy door, it is impossible for someone to open it. For them, the alloy gate is a very safe thing. Yes, it's finally safe. Damn it, who is this mysterious man, so strong? It doesn't matter, let's choose to leave. Right. A group of people smiled and prepared to turn around. At this moment, there was a bang. The alloy door in front slowly opened. In an instant, everyone's smiles froze. How come? How could he have our iris information? Immediately afterwards, they saw a pair of hands between the alloy gates. Boom boom boom. The alloy door was opened by force. There was an abnormal door opening sound. The other party is not a door opened by an iris. The other party forcibly opened it with bare hands. Those hands are trying to break open the heavy alloy door. Look at those horrible hands. Everyone's pupils shrank. Their scalps went numb. Fact. That is an alloy gate as heavy as a hill. As a result, it was slowly torn apart with bare hands. This scene is really shocking. See this scene. All the top executives of the hand were tingling. What kind of monster is this? Open the alloy door with bare hands. I suddenly had a hunch that the leader was either captured by other existences, or he was probably captured by this person in front of him. Run. A group of people turned around and ran away. A voice suddenly came from behind the door. Want to run? Can you run? For a moment, several high-level officials froze in place in an instant. They only felt a huge force enveloping them, making them unable to move at all. They finally felt what it was like to be pinned down outside. Several high-level officials roared, bursting out with originally powerful strength, trying to break free. As a result, his face turned red, and the veins in his neck popped up, but he still couldn't break free from the shackles of that powerful force. At this time, from the corner of their eyes, the alloy door had been completely opened, revealing the wide distance between the two of them. In an instant, everyone felt a trace of cold air rushing to their scalps. I saw the man walk in. As the man stepped forward, the hearts of everyone became colder. Everyone felt a force pulling them, and began to turn around slowly, facing the mysterious person. Everyone saw the mysterious person in front of them and swallowed unconsciously. The old woman unconsciously asked what she wanted to ask. Yes. Did you capture our leader and Lord Evil God? Shu Luo nodded slightly. Immediately, everyone's face turned pale, and all the blood seemed to fade away. In fact, they already had guesses in their hearts, but they still received a huge shock when they heard the answer. Their leader and Lord Evil God were really captured by this mysterious man in front of them. Who the hell is this guy? Why do you have such terrifying power? And they've never heard of it. Their hand association also has principles, and they will not provoke people who are too strong. They can provoke anyone who is not as strong as them. Therefore, they will find out the strength of everyone in the whole world, and it is absolutely impossible for them to provoke those well-known strong men. It is because of their principles that they have been allowed to do so for so many years, and there has never been anything wrong. Unexpectedly, this time, I thought it was just to get a slightly stronger person, to get a stronger body with deeper potential for the evil god. Unexpectedly, a terrible monster was drawn out. They even directly captured their leader and Lord Evil God and imprisoned them. Detained the core technology of their hand association. The letter from the leader of the gang also asked the doubts in his heart. I want to know. Have you really defeated the leader of the complete body? Shu Luo shook his head. I didn't give her a chance to fully integrate. I pulled out the demon power in her body. Everyone was much more shocked when they heard Shu Luo's answer than when they heard He Kong who defeated the completely integrated. Everyone's pupils were trembling. The old woman couldn't believe it. How is it possible? You pulled out the power of the evil god from He Kong's body. That is a power that only Lord Cthulhu can use, and no one else can control it except him. The rest of the people also did not believe it. After all, the power of evil gods can only be controlled by their master evil gods, and no one else can control it at all. Even if Dormammu and others come, it is the same. Because the power of the evil god was refined by the evil god himself, and his mark has long been stamped on it. Unless the evil god himself allows it, it is impossible for others to mobilize it. Shu Luo shrugged slightly. Nothing is impossible. Well, you have too many questions. Next, it's my turn. Shu Luo looked at the crowd. The old woman said, what are you going to do? Luo opened the mouth and said, the answer to you beast's question. Everyone in the hand association sneered. You want us to betray Lord Cthulhu? It's impossible. We will never betray Lord Cthulhu. Our lives are given by Lord Cthulhu, so we will never betray him. Shu Luo snapped his fingers. Lan Ying realized immediately. For a moment, he pounced on the person in front of him. In an instant, it enveloped the old woman in front. In an instant, the old woman turned into a symbiote monster. Seeing this scene, the people around felt a chill in their hearts. The toughness just now was instantly reduced. Also, maybe we can discuss it. Feeling the change in her own strength, the old woman was a little surprised and confused. My strength has skyrocketed? She could clearly feel the powerful increase in her physical strength. She even had the illusion that she could slap and kill other high-level hands around her very easily. But the old woman exerted all her strength immediately, and found that she still couldn't break free from the shackles of the invisible force around her. That power is simply too great. She often didn't expect that she had become so powerful that she still couldn't break free from the other party's shackles. The opponent's strength is simply unfathomable. Yuan Ting Yu Ji. The old woman looked at Shu Luo, a little confused. Why did you give me such a powerful power? Is it to let me feel the power of your power further? Let me know that even if I become stronger, I'm still not your tail? In this regard, Shu Luo did not explain, because it is not necessary. This time, the blue shadow possessed the old woman for a longer time. Seeing this, Shu Luo understood what was happening. This is because the memory of the hand old woman is too long, so Lan Ying needs to activate more neural networks and more memory storage. So it takes more time. After a while, Lan Ying finally finished copying the memory, so she faded from the old woman's body, pouring towards Shu Luo like mud. Moment. A huge blue symbiote monster appeared in front of everyone. Shu Luo said to Lan Ying in his heart, "The beast has been very silent recently, I want to know what it might be doing." Lan Ying's cautious voice sounded, Boss, this guy has too many and complicated memories, he has hundreds of years of memory. If I want to know your answer, I need to go through all his memories. But if I go through all of them, it will take a lot of effort. So I think you'd better ask yourself, come on sooner." Hear Lan Ying's words. The corners of Shu Luo's eyes twitched. He did not expect such a result. He immediately looked at the people in front of him. I pulled out the demonic power from He Kong's body, which made He Kong unable to complete metamorphosis. Talking. A trace of black aura emerged from his wrist and drilled out of Shu Luo's body. Immediately afterwards, an oppressive sense of Yuan Ting Yu Ji's cold and evil intentions swept across the four directions instantly. Looking at the trace of the power of the devil with a familiar feeling. The eyes of the hand members all widened, a trace of fear welled up in their eyes, and their heads shut down for a short time. Therefore, He Kong and Zeng will not be able to escape from my captivity. Recently, the beast has been extremely silent. I don't know what it is doing, but I feel something is very wrong with it. I want to know, what exactly is it doing? What is it trying to do? Finished. Shu Luo waved. Immediately, his hand turned into an extremely sharp huge sickle, which was placed in front of everyone's throats. That terrifying edge was hard and cold. Even though there was a distance, everyone still felt their throats were slightly sore and cold. A breath of death filled everyone's brains, almost making people feel suffocated. Feel the familiar horror and cold oppression, feel the horror sharpness. The last line of defense in everyone's heart was completely broken. The old woman's voice trembled. You actually pulled out the power of the devil from He Kong's body. Who the hell are you? Why are you able to do this? They never expected that this mysterious man actually pulled out the power of the devil. Shin, the leader of the gang next to him, was also the only man in his prime at the scene. He looked at Shu Luo coldly. You want us to betray Lord Cthulhu? It's absolutely impossible. Seeing this, Shu Luo sighed. He didn't want to talk nonsense either. In an instant, the sickle in his hand changed into a spear. Shoot towards Shinji. Pissed. The spear nailed the letter to the ground. That sharp spear pierced Shin's chest. Woo, ahem. In the mouth of the letter, it was performed because of the freshness of worry. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something. In the end, without saying anything, the divine light disappeared, and his head tilted. Shu Luo sighed. It seems that I can't get any useful information from you. That's right. I shouldn't expect to get any information from fanatics. Okay. Then you all go to die. Shu Luo decided to let Lan Ying go through it by herself, and take it slow. Pissed. Shu Luo pulled the spear from Shin's body, ready to send several other old guys on the road. Just at this time, those old fellows spoke quickly. No, we're not like him. Let's say, we're sure to answer your questions honestly. A few old guys who have lived for hundreds of years don't want to die here at all. As long as you are alive, there is still everything and hope. Once dead, there is really nothing to promise. The few old guys were able to live in this dangerous world for so long, not only because of Lord Cthulhu's life extension technique. It is because they are dog enough. They have realized the true meaning of the dog. Go is the principle of several high-level members of their hand association. The most important. The guy in front of him completely imprisoned their evil god, and was even able to draw away the power of the evil god. It was terrifying to the extreme. According to what the other party said, Mr. Cthulhu has been very silent recently. There is only one possibility, that is, Lord Cthulhu really feels that he cannot defeat the opponent, and is gathering strength to prepare to run away. An opponent that even Lord Cthulhu felt invincible. They naturally don't want to offend such a terrifying existence. And I believe Lord Cthulhu can also understand them. They are called keeping a low profile. Don't confront powerful enemies head on. In order to save the country in the future, rescue the evil god. They are definitely not betrayal, they are just for better saving. Several people said so in their hearts. Shu Luo was taken aback for a moment, and immediately said, "Okay, you guys talk about it." The old woman said, "The reason why the evil god is so silent may be because he feels despair from you. So, it should be accumulating strength, releasing secret techniques, and escaping from you. At the same time, I will cause you huge amounts of trouble." Hear. Shu Luo frowned slightly. How do you say it? Hear what the other person has to say. Shu Luo didn't have too many surprises. After all, the purpose of the beast is only two, either to escape, or to cause him trouble, or both. Now it seems that the two are together. The old woman hurriedly said, "Master Cthulhu is probably in the name of Hei Kong, wanting to borrow power from high-level demons such as Dormammu or Mephisto to break the contract between Mr. Cthulhu and Hei Kong. When Lord Cthulhu entered Hei Kong's body, the two parties signed a special contract, binding them together. Unless one party dies, the contract will remain in effect. If it is a terrifying existence at the level of dimension dominance, it can forcibly abolish this contract with its tyrannical and invincible power. Once the contract is terminated, Lord Cthulhu can escape from Hei Kong's body. Go find a brand new body and escape from your shackles completely. Lord Cthulhu generally won't do this, because doing so requires the construction of a sophisticated and complex secret technique to deceive the master of dimensions like Dormammu. This will take a lot of time, and will abandon the current host, the most important thing, and the danger of revealing one's identity. Once Lord Cthulhu's true identity is known by the Dimension Master, he may be captured by the Dimension Master. In the past, Lord Cthulhu had basically never encountered it, and he was able to imprison its existence. Even if you meet the person who imprisoned Hei Kong, there is only one result, that is, Hei Kong completes the integration and kills the person who imprisoned her. Master Cthulhu will not use this kind of secret technique unless he is forced to a desperate situation. Speaking of which, everyone looked at Shu Luo with a trace of deep fear. Forcing Mr. Cthulhu to such an extent, it can only show that this mysterious person in front of him is truly terrifying. Even if the evil god is willing to take some risks, he must get rid of the other party's imprisonment. Shu Luo frowned and said, "Why did you say that it caused me trouble? Since the beast borrowed the power in the name of Hei Kong, it should be Hei Kong who repaid this debt, and it should have nothing to do with me." The other party said, "Indeed, it is Hei Kong who repaid the debt. It's just that the demons are very greedy, and they often take away everything around them. For example, that Dormammu has always wanted to invade the earth, and if he catches this opportunity, he will devour everything around him. Although it may be repulsed by the one on the Himalayas in the end, the devourer will never come back. If it belongs to Mephisto, he will probably notice you when he collects the bill. After all, you have been entangled with the leader for so long. When he sees you, he will definitely get your attention. After all, he likes the souls of all kinds of strong people the most, and he will definitely do everything possible to make a deal with you, and then take your soul away." Hear. Shu Luo frowned slightly. It sounds like it is indeed very troublesome. Especially Dormammu. If the other party borrowed from Dormammu, it would be a big problem. The beast is so silent, it is estimated that it is really doing this. After all, if there are no other accidents, the beast will probably be imprisoned by him forever. The beast probably couldn't stand this kind of life of being imprisoned all the time and never having a bright future. Definitely, Shu Luo knew the fastest way to solve this trouble. That is to directly kill Hei Kong and send the beast to reincarnation again. But in this case, the precious sample of the beast and its rich treasure house of knowledge will be lost. The most important. Let the beast go, who knows if this guy will make other moths. So Shu Luo wanted to find other solutions. Shu Luo said, how long will this secret technique take? The old woman said, it will take a month. Shu Luo murmured in his heart. Based on this, that is to say, there is still about half a month before the secret technique will be successfully constructed. The beast is so abnormal, probably from the time when his power surged last time. It is estimated that his strength has risen too much, so he is autistic and desperate, and only then has the thought of escaping. From that time period, because half a month has passed. The sharp blade in Shu Luo's hand was placed on the opponent's throat, and a trace of blood oozed out. What do I need to do? He asked. A mountain road outside a small town in a certain state. An armed squad is galloping. In front of them, a car was driving at high speed. Inside the car of the armed squad, guns stick out and are bombarding the people in front. Da da da. The bullets keep ringing. Hit that car. Sparks are blooming. The car in front is constantly dodging. Inside the car, there were 3 people sitting, and it was the 3 Wolverines. They lowered their bodies, in order not to be hit by the bullets behind them. Since the last exposure, Essex continued to search for them. This is not. They've been spotted again, so they're running like crazy, trying to avoid the cars behind them. It's just that the other party chased too close. They are simply hard to get rid of. Wolverine leaned down, holding the car. There was still a trace of scratches on his face, and tiny drops of blood oozed out. This is the damage caused by a bullet just past the cheek. He gritted his teeth and said, damn it, these dogs are too tight for us, it's too hard to get rid of. Mystique behind said, I don't know why, I feel that there are not as many people investigating and hunting us as I imagined. With such a huge force in Essex, if they want to hunt us down, they will bite us like a vicious dog. Infinite numbers of people came up to hunt us down. We have almost no chance of getting rid of it. But we were spotted several times and we got rid of them constantly. Wolverine also frowned. I also have this feeling, it seems that they seem to have relaxed their pursuit of us. However, we still have to get rid of these dogs first. Mystique nodded. Just at this time, boom, boom. Explosions came from behind. Cars were blown up by the explosion. They fell to the ground, and a second explosion occurred again. Huge amounts of flames engulfed the surrounding area. Several cars fell in the middle of the road, blocking the way. Immediately blocked the progress of the car behind. Wolverine sees this. Eyes widened. What's the situation? Is there an ambush? Someone is helping us? Saw the people behind were blocked. Wolverine hastily quickened her pace. The car shoots out. Leave the flames and wreckage behind you behind. Soon. Wolverine and they went out of the mountain. At this time, there is another car in front of the intersection. See here. Wolverine and the others frowned tightly. Mystique frowned. People from Essex actually ran to the front to block us? Just. Why did you come here? Didn't the people from Essex form a team? Could it be that this team was broken up? Only this car is left? Just at this time, a familiar figure got out of the car and raised his hands, indicating that he was unarmed. See that familiar figure. Wolverine's pupils startled. Mystique at the back also looked slightly startled. Why is it him? Reminiscent of the explosion that just happened, she hurriedly said, so, this time, this guy is the one who helped us? The little wolf girl in the passenger seat looked at the man with a slightly puzzled face. Why does he look so much like Logan? Mystique laughed. Because that's Logan's brother. Little wolf girl's eyes widened. Luo Logan still has relatives? Mystique nodded. Yes, it was Sabretooth who came. Sabretooth is not as old as Logan, and looks like a Chinese in the prime of life. He looked at Logan in the car, a small smile on his face. Logan, follow me, let's get out of here quickly. Because the people from Essex will definitely arrive here soon. Wolverine nodded. Immediately. Wolverine's car followed Sabretooth's and left. Soon after. In a forest. A temporary base. Tents stood there one by one. There are more than 20 mutants among them, including the elderly and adults, but there are no children. Almost all of them had injuries. Some have missing arms, some have scars on their faces, some have no ears, and some have a lot of bullet holes, which is full of cruelty. The adults were cleaning and counting the weapons, while the old man was cooking. Wolverine and the other 3 followed Sabretooth, orienting the base. See this scene. The 3 of Wolverine were not too surprised. Because this way. They saw a lot of Essex's bad behavior against mutants, and saw a lot of tragic events for mutants. The mutant race is in danger and has come to the cliff of history, and it is about to fall at any time, and it will be smashed to pieces, and its soul will be scattered. At the same time, I also saw various places, and the remaining poor mutants gathered involuntarily and began to fight Essex together. Some of them hide outside the outskirts of the town, and some simply hide in the deep mountains, like small guerrillas, fighting against Essex, making the final struggle for survival. In this land of freedom, little sparks of resistance are lit, but these sparks are dim and will be extinguished at any time. Because there is no follow-up new force. Under the giant hands of Essex, mutant has become extinct, and no new mutant has been born for several years. It can be said, this is almost a losing game. Some mutants resigned to their fate, either captured by Essex or committed suicide. But there are still some people who refuse to admit defeat and resist desperately. They would rather die standing than lie down, or cheapen Essex. And these ignited sparks, these gathering points, are all such a group of people. At the same time, there are also some rumors that are spreading crazily like a virus, quickly passing over this land, injecting some new power into these dim, flickering sparks. Let the originally swaying and dim sparks become brighter. And there are many versions of these rumors. The first version is that in a certain corner of this world, there is a mutant savior. He possesses unfathomable and terrifying powers. As long as you find him, you will change mutants' tragic fate and help mutant overthrow that huge and terrifying Essex. The second version is that the Son of God has reincarnated to help the mutants. People. Before long, a powerful mutant will rise to become the savior of the entire mutant race. He'll lead all the mutants up to the mountains of Essex. It will return the freedom and health of all mutants, and at the same time solve the nightmare of mutants having no offspring. The third version is that an ancient powerful mutant is about to wake up, and when he wakes up, the mutant race will be revived again and get rid of the fate of genocide. All mutants also get rid of the days of hiding, and get rid of this painful situation. Etc. There are many versions. But the same thing is that the savior has appeared and will save the fate of mutant. And these news are all during this time. After Little Wolf Girl and the others contacted some strongholds or mutants, and saw people's despair, they told them the news of a savior to cheer them up and let them live hard. Definitely, the Little Wolf Girl did not reveal the identity of the savior, but only said that such a person exists. In addition, because of the firm belief of Little Wolf Girl, the endorsement of Wolverine and others, and the last words of Professor X. Moreover, it is easier for people in a desperate situation to believe in a hope unconditionally. Because they have no choice, they can only choose to believe, as the motivation and support for their own survival. But the news is undoubtedly exciting. So this exciting news spread to more mutants as mutants got in touch with mutants. It's just that in the process of dissemination, the information began to deteriorate, and everything began to become a myth. One after another, the mutants began to believe in the existence of a savior. And this savior is hiding in a certain corner of this world. Soon, this savior will shine with infinite light, illuminating the desperate world of mutant. Shu Luo didn't know. He is not in Zhonghu, but Zhonghu is full of legends about him. At this moment, everyone at the gathering point looked over. They see Wolverine et al., especially Wolf Girl. Everyone's eyes lit up. After all, it's been a long time since they've seen a mutant kid. What's more, this mutant kid has a special mission. One said. Wolverine with his daughter. Sabretooth was taken aback when he heard it. Let's put it that way. Hear, hear. The people in the stronghold immediately gathered around, their eyes full of surprises. They looked at Little Wolf Girl. Does the savior really exist? Is there really a savior? The Little Wolf Girl nodded solemnly, her eyes shining brightly. Yes, we will find him soon. Please reverse the situation when the time comes. They looked at Wolverine again. Wolverine nodded with a solemn expression. We will definitely find each other. Hear, hear. There was a smile on the faces of those mutants. Just at this time, call out. A cannonball flew by. Sabretooth rushed up. With an explosion, Sabretooth flew out, blood splashing everywhere. There is an enemy attack, shouted angrily. Inside the tunnel. Hear Shu Luo's words. The old woman nodded. There is indeed a way, that is. An enemy attack. The entire camp immediately entered a state of combat readiness. This is true even for the elderly. Someone picked up a gun and picked up a thermal weapon. Some people showed their abilities. Or become a pig-headed man, or control the soil, or become stronger. Wolverine saw that Sabretooth was bombed, blood and flesh splattered everywhere, her eyes widened, and she shouted, Victor. Sabretooth fell to the ground. The chest is bloody, the bones are dense, and the internal organs and intestines can be seen. Sabretooth was in pain, and his face was distorted. Fact, it hurts too much. Immediately afterwards, his body began to recover quickly. He looked at Wolverine and forced a smile. Why worry, I'm much stronger than you kid now. After he finished speaking, he got up from the ground and looked at the crowd and cars rushing towards him in the distance, who were surrounded by them from several directions. All from Essex. The opponent's weapons are well equipped and ammunition is abundant. On their side, the old, the weak, the sick, and the mutant ability are greatly weakened by food. The strength gap between the two sides is quite large. Head to head, these people will definitely confess here today. See here. Sabretooth gritted his teeth. Damn it, we hid so deep and we were found. He took a look and saw that there were fewer enemies to the north. He yelled, break out, so he took the lead and rushed towards the north, leading the way. Clang. Claws come out, glowing cold. His expression was cold and determined. At this moment, Sabretooth is full of charisma. Compared with the lone wolf, cruel and selfish mercenary many years ago, there are huge amounts of difference. Mystique next to him looked at it and felt very strange. If it wasn't for that face, she couldn't help but recognize Sabretooth. Even Sabretooth next to him felt a little trance. Victor has changed a lot over the years, not outwardly. Because he was not injected with adamantium and was not poisoned by adamantium, Victor's ability was not suppressed as badly as Wolverine's, so there was not much change on the outside. However, huge amounts of changes have taken place in the interior and temperament. Since the last time I cooperated with Sabretooth against a strong enemy, after fighting against the monster piled up with various mutant abilities. Sabretooth has been incognito, and since then, his whole person has changed. But Wolverine didn't expect that the change would be so consequential. Wolverine and the others and the people in the stronghold quickly followed Sabretooth. While leaning on the trees, avoiding the enemy's attack. While holding a weapon, counterattacked the enemy. Bang bang bang. The bullet hit the tree. Tree dust flying. The bullet hits the flesh and blood. There were bursts of screams and hums. There are fewer people in the north. Soon. Sabretooth and others rushed up. The sharp claws tear apart sets of firearms, piercing through pieces of bulletproof vests and bulletproof helmets. The soil rises from the ground, forming a soil pillar and blasting the enemy away. Someone picked up a steel knife and a steel sword, and used powerful strength to see the other party in half. Someone turned into an animal, opened his bloody mouth, bit the opponent's upper body, and tore it apart. Bloody fight, decisive breakout. The people are fighting desperately. Injuries also appeared on their bodies, and blood flowed out. Especially the older mutants. Their variant ability is already very weak. Basically fighting with guns. Because the movement is slower, it is easier to be attacked. An old man was hit by the aftermath of a shell. Fly straight out. Hit a tree trunk. He fell to the ground, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. When the rest of the people saw this scene, their eyes were tearing apart because they roared. The old man looked at his chest, the broken shrapnel shot into his body, and blood flowed out in front of him. This kind of injury, if placed on an old man, is a fatal injury. See here. The old man smiled miserably, he knew he couldn't live. He looked at his companions. Live. He got up immediately, and resolutely rushed towards the place where there were more enemies, and immediately swooped away, pulling away the grenade on his body. Detonate your bomb. Boom. A violent explosion. Moment. A group of enemies with guns were torn apart by the explosion. Meat pieces flew everywhere. Burnt smell is in the air. See here. The faces of the people in the gathering place showed a trace of pain. Another life and death companion died. During this period of getting along, these fighting mutants have established a deep friendship. When Sabretooth saw this scene, a trace of coldness flashed across his eyes, and the veins on his hands suddenly became more prominent. His movements are more ferocious and cruel. Face each other's bullets. Pounce on it. The other party's bullets pierce through his body. Pain filled his nerves, making his expression even more distorted. He shouted angrily and stretched out his claws. Pissed. The claws directly pierced the opponent's eyes. There was a scream. Immediately, quickly and abruptly stop. The battle is fierce. One mutant after another, after being seriously injured, went madly towards the enemy. Boom. Boom. Explosions resounded in the mountains and forests. Flesh and blood fly. Trees are blown off. On the tree, on the broken log, the fiery flame is burning. Crashing burning sound, constantly gunshots, bumpy. The soil has been dyed red. Red muddy water is flowing and spreading on the ground. With the sacrifice of a mutant, Sabretooth and others finally broke through the siege. There were originally more than 20 people. This trip down. 5 or 6 people were directly missing. 4 of them are elderly and Sunset is an adult. Seeing the death of his companion, the mutants in the stronghold had pain and grief on their faces. They were the ones who kept warm in the Doomsday Group. Everyone is their last comfort and support. They are comrades in arms, compatriots, and relatives. It is also those who have been abandoned by the world, the last bond with this world. An old man whose face was covered with blood, his eyes were red, Chen. Another man, who had been shot several times and was bleeding, had grim eyes. These damned guys. Seeing this scene, Wolverine and the others fell silent, their eyes dimmed slightly. This way. They have seen too many scenes like this. Too many fighting mutants died before them. Death and parting are commonplace. Mutant is really on the verge of faltering, crumbling. Seeing this, the little wolf girl clenched her fists and clenched her teeth. Finally the encirclement clashed, Sabretooth looked back, and the enemy was still charging. He had a ferocious look on his face, and was still full of gangster anger. Very good, I finally escaped. Next. It's time to send you bastards on the road, paying homage to Lao Tzu's companion. Go to hell. He took out an iron box from his body and opened it to find a remote control. He directly pressed the remote control button 1000. The bombs buried around the stronghold were detonated at this moment. On top of these bombs are groups of enemies, a loud bang. There was a terrifying explosion. The terrifying explosion instantly engulfed those enemies. There were bursts of screams. Countless flames were connected together and turned into a sea of flames, almost engulfing the surroundings. A horrific heat wave hit Wolverine head-on. It makes people feel extremely roasted, as if there is a huge stove in front of them. The fire engulfed, as well as the corpses of those mutants. Everyone looked at the huge sea of flames, and there was not much happiness on their faces. On the contrary, the face is full of sadness. Only because of the death of a companion. A crowd of mutants looked at the sea of flames in front of them, their pupils reflected in burning. At this time, Sabretooth said in a low voice, "Come on, let's get out of here. It's not safe here anymore." Finished. He turned and left, walking deeper into the forest. Everyone else nodded. Keep up with Sabretooth. Among the mountains and forests, Sabretooth and the others stopped after a short walk. They began to process the wounds on their bodies. Whether it is to live longer or not to expose their traces, they all need to deal with the injury. Sabretooth took a knife and stabbed it directly into the hull of the gun. Pest. The knife pierced into the flesh and blood, and the blood flowed out. Pain twisted Sabretooth's face, and he clenched his teeth. Puff. A bloody bullet head was picked out and fell to the ground. Wolverine next to him is also treating the wound. His injuries weren't as bad as Sabretooth's, though. Because he didn't rush up like Sabretooth, staring at the hole of the gun and rushing up. After all, he no longer has the powerful self-healing ability that he used to have. While treating the wound, Wolverine said, "You have changed a lot now. You've never done these things before. So desperate for other irrelevant people." Sabretooth said helplessly, "No way. I actually don't want to care about it, it's just that I'm the only one with the most experience in fighting. So slowly, I became the person who guides everyone to fight. Plus my original survival ability is stronger, so I will take the lead in the charge, which makes them very convinced of me. Everyone just worked together, and it became what it is now." Pest. HMPH. Sabretooth stabbed the knife into the wound, clenched his teeth, the veins all over his face popped out, and picked out the bullet. Immediately, Sabretooth showed a smile. "I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but now I don't want to be alone anymore, more and more. I have endured the loneliness of a person for too long. The more I stay with them, the more the loneliness is eliminated, and I don't feel so empty in my heart. But at the same time, as people around me died one by one, the pain became stronger and stronger." He roughly inserted the blade into the flesh and blood again, and the veins on his forehead bulged. The pain is far more piercing than physical pain, and it lasts longer. Wolverine was silent for a moment when she saw this scene. Sabretooth felt what he felt deeply. In the following years, he was no longer a lone wolf, he also began to blend into the X-Men in the crowd. Chin, Professor X, Beast, etc. also brought him more emotional comfort. It made him more and more reluctant to leave the crowd. More and more rely on more people, only. These old partners eventually left him. In the end he was the only one left. He deeply felt those pains, the death of a bonded person. That is leaving a scar on the soul that cannot heal. The pain of the soul lasts forever. Wolverine's eyes flickered with pain, too. He smiled wryly. "When I came to this world, I only understood one truth. That is everything is uncertain, but death and parting is the only thing that is doomed." Sabretooth also had a bitter look on his face. Two men squatted under a big tree, their faces were full of grief. At this time, two little hands were placed on their shoulders. It's little wolf girl. They looked at little wolf girl. The little wolf girl was silent for a while, she was not able to comfort others, and said, "This war will definitely end soon. At that time, those who accompany us will not die so hastily. When the time comes, death will be a peaceful farewell." Sabretooth smiled when he heard this, and patted the little wolf girl's head. The other party can also be regarded as his blood relative, his niece. He smiled and said, "Then you have to find that person early." Little wolf girl nodded. "I will. Even if I search the whole world, I will find him." Sabretooth looked at Wolverine and said with a smile, "So, before this war is over, you don't want to die early. I don't want to collect your body so early. I didn't expect that the situation would be peaceful, but you would be gone." Wolverine smiled and shook her head. "Don't worry, I'm notoriously tough." Wolverine continued. "After we have dealt with these wounds, we will be leaving, and we will say goodbye to you. Live well." Sabretooth said, "I still need you to say, I am still very strong now, and the wound is still recovering quickly." "Where are you going?" Wolverine said, "Going to New York to see." Sabretooth nodded. Wolverine asked, "What about you?" Sabretooth said, "Our stronghold is destroyed, and we are going to go to the north to find more mutants. Meeting with more mutants. Our strength is weak after all, if there are more people, the history area will be more sufficient. If you find a savior at that time, we can provide you with greater assistance then." He let out a breath. "I hope that when you find the savior, our mutant fighting team will become even bigger. Hopefully the sparks will also converge into a bigger flame. Soon, the people who treated the wounds set off again. Just turned into two batches. A group headed north. A group of people headed towards New York in the southeast. A group of people went to gather sparks. A group of people went to find the source of the fire. They are all fighting warriors. They are all fighters fighting for their own race. In history, they have left a mark for themselves with their blood. At the same time, rumors of the savior also reached the ears of Essex. The Essex mercenaries laughed when they heard this. The savior? These crippled mutants still believe in these illusory things. It's a joke. These trash, they are still trying to make waves. Savior. Come one, I'll shoot one. I want to see if this savior has my gun. Savior. Let him come out and try to see how many bullets he can take from me, I will directly beat him into a sieve. The number of mutants who died in the hands of us in Essex is not tens of thousands, but thousands. No matter who they are, no matter how powerful they are, they will all die. That's not it, isn't Wolverine being chased and beaten by us, hiding like a mouse? That's right, the beast was caught by us, dissected, and finally his genes became our Essex weapon. Naturally, these news not only reached the ears of the mercenaries. It also spread to the ears of those high-level officials. Hearing these words, those high-level officials didn't take it too seriously. Savior, it seems that the mutants have indeed reached the end of the road and have begun to spread these superstitious rumors. In order to stabilize more people, I started making up lies. Definitely, some people think it is possible. What if there is such a savior? So what? Is there any room for mutant to resist now? If it weren't for us being busy looking for that old thing recently. I've wiped out the rest of the mutants long ago, so how can I give them a chance to jump around? That's right, the current mutant is out of date. Even if there is a more powerful mutant, can it be more powerful than our X-weapon? We were able to create an army of X-weapons, filled with powerful mutant weapons. At that time, no one will be able to suppress us. As soon as the words came out, everyone nodded approvingly. Savior. What is that? What counts? Sykes is so powerful that it is difficult to find an opponent in the whole world. Mutant is already full of broken shrimp soldiers and crab generals. How could they be overthrown? How could they be destroyed? Inside the Hand Association base. The old woman said, that is the moment when the evil god finished the secret technique, when the evil god and the black sky terminated the contract. At this time, use a special secret technique to integrate Lord Cthulhu into a brand new body. Through that special secret technique, the brand new host will automatically receive part of the power and knowledge of Lord Cthulhu. Included in this knowledge is a secret technique that steals the sky and replaces the sun with the sun based on the high status of the Lord Cthulhu. It can avoid the debt collection of the Dimension Master. However, the cooling time of this secret technique is extremely long, and it will take several years before it can be used again. The most important thing is that you can't carry too much debt. It's just that the debt to cancel a contract is not too much, and it can be avoided. In addition, this secret technique will allow Lord Cthulhu to highly integrate with the new body. Once the body dies, Lord Cthulhu will sleep for a long time. The old woman was like pouring beans, shaking her old background clearly and clearly. The beast on the other side is accumulating strength and paddling secret techniques. Suddenly, I felt an inexplicable chill in my heart. It made it feel inexplicable. Damn, what's going on? Is someone cursing me? The beast didn't know that it had already been sold by his subordinates. The beast immediately shook his mind and murmured, I don't want these messy things. I have to go on. Then get out of this damn place early, hee. So the beast continued to sneak up on its mission. I heard what the old woman said. Shu Luo nodded and murmured, special secret technique. Seal. Steal the sky and change the sun. Immediately he asked another question. I have a problem. Although I have the power of demons, I can't really control these powers. In that case, am I good enough to perform this special secret technique? He simply restrained the power of the devil, and then used it to strengthen his body. So there is no real control over the power of these demons. Hear Shu Luo's words. Several people were all taken aback. Good guy. It can't be used, it can only be bound, and it really is the power of the devil that was snatched. Forcibly snatched the power of the demon from He Kong's body. It was horrible. The old woman was stunned for a moment, and then said, that's troublesome, because this secret technique must be used with the power of demons. Without the power of demons, this secret technique cannot be used. Shu Luo said, then do you know how to release this technique? The old woman nodded. Shu Luo said, then you also have the power of demons, you can control them. The old woman nodded slightly. We believe in Lord Cthulhu, and obtained the power of demons from him. We can use and control this power. Hear. Shu Luo thought for a while and said, so you can release this secret technique? When the old woman and the others heard this, their expressions changed slightly. The old woman said, we can indeed release this secret technique. It's just that we can't release this secret technique on Mr. Evil God. After all, if we release this secret technique on the Lord Cthulhu, I am afraid that the Lord Cthulhu will miss it completely. Shu Luo said, you have already revealed the details of your boss. Even if you don't do this, you will be missed by him. He paused and looked at his sharp blade. Besides, if you don't want to do this kind of thing, do you think you are worth living? Hearing Shu Luo's words, several people's faces were bitter. Definitely. Letting the opponent release the secret technique is just a guarantee. What he needs to do more is to research a way to control the power of demons. Then he used the power of the devil to release the secret technique. After all, teaching a man to fish is worse than giving him a fish. It is right to keep things in your own hands. Shu Luo immediately said, okay, let's talk about the secret sealing technique you mentioned. Immediately, the other party described the specific release process of the secret technique. After the other party has finished speaking, Shu Luo continued, if there are any other secret techniques, tell them all. The old woman on the opposite side said, we have a special library of secret arts, which records all the secret arts that we can learn when we join together. Are you going to see it? The reason why the old woman said it was because she didn't think the other party could learn it, so she wanted to be a favor and accumulate some goodwill. Definitely, if the other party can really learn it, then she will be cast down. That means that the other party is a truly terrifying existence, a brand new thigh. It is not better to do such a favor. A person who can suppress Lord Heretic God so ruthlessly is destined to be difficult. Shu Luo heard this. Immediately, his eyes lit up. Okay, let's go and have a look. Then he followed the old woman into a narrow room. There are some books in it, but not many. Most of them are very old and seem to have been placed for a long time. Shu Luo began to flip through the pages, because there were very few books, he quickly finished them. These occult techniques include tracking people, hiding whereabouts, and strengthening the body for a short time. There is also the sealing technique that the old woman said. However, there is no secret technique of stealing the beam. It seems that the secret technique needs to seal the beast and obtain the memory of the beast before it can be obtained. There is no secret technique of prolonging life. It seems that only the beast can know the secret technique of prolonging life, and no one else can. However, these secret techniques are basically supported by the power of demons before they can be released. After reading it, Shu Luo also had an understanding of the power of demons. That is, when the power of the devil is completely mastered, it will also affect the master. When a certain critical point is reached, the master will become demonized. At the same time, this demonization will also cause some alienation to one's own ability. This condition is irreversible. Knowing this, Shu Luo also thought about something. Shu Luo looked at the elder of the Hand Society, and said, next, you continue to master the Hand Society. But you have to remember, the moment you betrayed the beast, you were already on the opposite side of Lu. So, you can only hope that the beast will never be born. From now on, the hand will serve me, Definitely, if you want to continue to live, if you want to continue to prolong your life, you have to listen to me. After I seal the beast and get the life extension method, you can continue to live in this world. Otherwise, without this life prolonging method, you probably won't be able to live forever. Really. The method of prolonging life is the life gate of these people. Hearing this, they nodded quickly. We will definitely listen to you and take care of things for you. Then he looked at the old woman. Next, you come with me. I need to study how to control the power of demons. These senior members of the Hand Association can master the power of demons, and has no beasts in his body, so he wants to study how these elders have mastered it. He wanted to see if he could gain new ways to wield demonic powers for himself. If possible, he could release the secret technique by himself or let his own people release the secret technique to seal the beast. Hear. Several elders were all taken aback. Do you control the power of demons yourself? How can this be? But thinking that the other party might be able to make Lord Evil God despair, he can forcibly plunder the power of the demon in He Kong's body. Nothing seems completely impossible. The old woman definitely didn't want to be studied, but she didn't dare to refuse. After all, if she refused, she would die if she didn't guarantee her life. She nodded quickly. Okay. Immediately Shu Luo took the old woman to another secret laboratory for research. So these days, in addition to studying how to master the power of demons, Shu Luo also made rooms and equipment that isolate radiation, and then continued to exercise his body. In a few days, Shu Luo successfully built the isolation room and isolation equipment. Shu Luo stood inside the isolation, wearing isolation equipment, and looked at the abomination in front of him. The hatred roared, "Let me go! Let me go! It's just that it can't get rid of the vibranium lock at all." Shu Luo didn't care about this. The next step is to start studying your gamma power. Hear Shu Luo's words. Hate instantly felt a chill down his spine. Immediately it saw Shu Luo taking out a handle of scalpels, surgical tools, various materials, and various types. There is a super hard vibranium scalpel. The blade is made of vibranium, and the cold light is flowing. There is a high-power laser scalpel, which is extremely bright. There are also various pliers. Look at that whole set. Hate unconsciously swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Shu Luo said, "Don't worry, I'm very measured and won't let you die." Hate. Is he worried about dying? He is worried that life is worse than death. Haven't reacted to the abomination yet. Shu Luo started. Picking up the scalpel, he skillfully broke through the body of the abomination. Pissed. The extremely hard and extremely sharp blade easily sliced through the steel-like body of abomination. One knife after another went down. A burst of powerful gamma rays burst out. Seems to want to kill everything around, only. These powerful gamma rays were all blocked by the walls of the room and the special equipment on Shu Luo's body. Can't hurt anyone. Except for the abomination of being cut open by a sharp blade. The disgusted face twisted and let out a painful cry. Ah! Loathing the distorted face, he looked at Shu Luo angrily, who conducts experiments, dissects without anesthesia. The severe pain made Hate feel that the figure of God became clearer and clearer, as if he was close at hand. Shu Luo said, "No way, your body is too strong. General anesthetics and neurotoxins are useless to you. So this little pain, you can only bear it." Hate the bloodshot eyes. "This hurts? Just be patient. What kind of speech is this?" Waiting for Hatred to think too much. After Shu Luo finished speaking, he continued to move, concentrating on it, with an extremely serious expression. Ah! The whole room. There was a scream of disgust and pain, and the mask of pain was never taken off. Along with research by Shu Luo, he clearly saw that the gamma energy in the hate body was providing more powerful power for the hate cells. At the same time, it stimulates the cells to become stronger all the time. Although the speed of this strengthening is not very fast, it is indeed becoming stronger. This is completely different from ordinary people. Ordinary people, only by exercising and continuously exercising at a higher intensity can their bodies become stronger. If you don't train, your body strength will slowly degrade. The body of the abomination is entirely different. Even without high-intensity exercise, its cells will grow stronger and there will be no degradation. Seeing this, Shu Luo's eyes shone slightly. No exercise, no degradation, it's really comfortable. The most important thing is that even if you don't exercise, you will become stronger, so how to carry out overload training, then the growth rate must be very strong. If I have this strength and cooperate with overload training, the growth rate will be very gratifying. He whispered. It can accommodate this power, and perfectly balance the gamma energy in the body, preventing it from being released. Hate, this body is really strong. Next, I first need to find the principle of hatred to obtain this power, and I need to analyze the principle of hatred. After the principle is analyzed, it can be reproduced, and new abominations can be created. However, this is not my idea. I do not want to create a new abomination. I don't want to be an abomination either. Looking at the disgusted face, Shu Luo didn't change his mind at all. Definitely, Shu Luo doesn't want to be Hulk either. What he wants is not to transform, not to change into another form. What he wants is to allow his body to accommodate and balance the gamma energy, so that his body can burst out with powerful strength. In the following time, Shu Luo studied the power of darkness and the principle of the birth of hatred. This day, Shu Luo went to the company to exercise. When I just arrived at the company, a woman with curly green hair and a charming figure walked up to Shu Luo. Shu Luo raised his eyebrows slightly. The green-haired woman, he knew one, was Magneto's daughter, Polaris. However, Polaris has a high and cold temperament, so it is obviously impossible for him to be the charming and enchanting woman in front of him. He didn't know the woman across from him at all. "Hello, Mr. Li Luo, let's get acquainted." The woman showed a charming smile and stretched out her slender hands. Shu Luo looked at the other party calmly, and shook the other party's hand. "Who are you?" The woman smiled and said, "You may know me. My nickname is Viper, and I am called Mrs. Hydra." Hear the name. Shu Luo narrowed his eyes slightly. Mrs. Hydra. Looks like the Hydra guys found him. But such Shu Luo, facing the people of Hydra, has a little more calmness. After all, his current strength is vastly different from the past. Mrs. Hydra in front of her came up alone. Apparently it was just for conversation. Shu Luo said, "Let's find a room and talk." Madam Hydra nodded. Immediately, the two came to a room. Shu Luo said, "How did you find me?" Mrs. Hydra smiled and said, "Where you did your identity, I found that person." Shu Luo calmly said, "AI erased all the traces, and I only showed up for a while at that time. He should not remember that I guessed right after such a long time." Mrs. Hydra smiled. "He really can't remember you, but he found the person who provided him with the original identity. Then find your original identity from the pile of original identities." Shu Luo nodded slightly. "Why are you looking for me?" Mrs. Hydra said, "I want to hire you, and I want to explore the power you took away from Hydra." For this question, Shu Luo naturally refused. How could he let people explore himself, shaking his head? "I don't have any interest." Madam Hydra said, "As long as you are willing, I will provide you with the resources of Tianxing." Shu Luo shook his head. He immediately stood up. "Also, from now on, Hydra will not come to provoke me, and the Crow father and daughter again. Otherwise, it won't be as simple as last time." He looked seriously at Mrs. Hydra. Mrs. Hydra was still smiling, but Shu Luo's eyes made her feel particularly oppressed. It was as if the person in front of him was no longer one person, but 10 ancient giant beasts. It was a sense of oppression that she had never encountered before. No one has ever given her such a terrifying sense of oppression. This moment, Shu Luo seemed to be not threatening, but stating a fact that would happen in the future. Mrs. Hydra took a short breath. She just recovered. There is only one back of the other party left. Mrs. Hydra looked at the back of Shu Luo leaving. She murmured, "Is this really a person?" Feeling that the other party gave her feelings, she was silent. This moment, she has only one idea and cannot conflict with the other party. At least she can't conflict with the other party. She murmured, "Maybe I can cooperate with him in other ways." The following days, Shu Luo continued to study. This day ends. Secret laboratory. Looking at the computer data in front of him, Shu Luo murmured, "Very good, finally completed the analysis of the birth of hatred, and finally completed the reanalysis of gamma cells and energy." Shu Luo looked at the relevant data in front of him. A gleam of satisfaction flashed across his eyes. Now, he has completely completed the research on the reproduction of the birth of abomination. I know how hatred is produced, how gamma energy affects it, and how gamma energy induces cell mutations. How to change from the original human beings to abominations under the irradiation of special serum and gamma rays. Shu Luo has completed a 100% analytical reproduction of this operating principle. As long as Shu Luo is willing, he can reproduce an abomination again. Definitely, this also requires the subject to have an extraordinary will. Only in this way can one be able to resist the blood serum and the terrifying pain that comes from being broken. In this way, Tuangutu has created a brand new abomination. Definitely. Shu Luo doesn't want to make himself an abomination, so it's not enough to just complete the engraving analysis. He also needs more in-depth research and analysis while improving. What he needs to do now is to strengthen his own cells into cells as powerful as hatred. At the same time, these cells cannot be allowed to metamorphose into another new form. How to maintain strength while maintaining the human form is the problem he needs to overcome at present. Shu Luo looked at the data. When in Bronski's form, the body also has a huge amount of gamma energy. In every cell, there is a huge amount of gamma energy hidden. When transformed into a human form, these gamma energies are sleeping deep in the cells, completely hidden, will not leak out, and will not cause any damage to the body. Although transformed into a human form, the cell surface is no different from ordinary people, but in reality, there is a world of difference. It's just that once these gamma energies are activated, the cells will undergo earth-shaking changes, no matter in terms of strength or appearance, and thus enter a state of hatred. What I need to do now is to stimulate the potential of the cells without causing the cells to mutate. Shu Luo immediately continued to immerse himself in research. The other side. Shu Luo is still studying the power of demons. At the same time, the research on the power of demons has made further progress. Through the old woman's control over the power of demons, he obtained more relevant data. When studying the power of demons, Shu Luo also thought clearly about where to seal the beast. Shu Luo was not going to seal the beast into his body. Because once he seals the beast into his body, deeply integrates with the beast, and is infected by a lot of demonic power, he will slowly turn into 10 demons. This is not what Shu Luo wants. All his current abilities are based on human beings and are constantly evolving. He didn't want to cause his current power to change due to demonization. This will have an unknown impact on his subsequent ability sublimation. He is currently building the prototype of Superman, after which he will integrate all the abilities in his body, sublimate into a super-powered organic whole, and evolve into a real Superman. This is the path he has set in advance. Definitely, the beast cannot be sealed on an inexplicable person. After all, this kind of seal is equivalent to a sublimation. An opportunity. Naturally, this kind of thing cannot be given to others. After much deliberation, Shu Luo finally decided to seal the beast into Little Spider-Man's body. After all, Little Spider-Man is currently his closest existence, cultivated by him, and loyal to him. To seal the original demon into the body of Little Spider-Man, the regiment is the best choice. Although Little Spider-Man has the spider ability, but the strength has an upper limit after all. If you want to go one step further and obtain power beyond the spider ability, it is very difficult by ordinary means. If the beast is sealed into the body of Little Spider-Man, it is equivalent to completing a sublimation of Little Spider-Man. Allowing Little Spider-Man to deeply integrate with the power of the original demon is equivalent to letting Little Spider-Man integrate part of the high-level personality of the original demon. In this way, Little Spider-Man can go one step further and gain more powerful power. Shu Luo looked at Little Spider-Man. In the future, I will integrate the power of the beast into your body, allowing you to gain more powerful power and have more possibilities for evolution. In this way, you can help me better. Little Spider-Man's eyes lit up when he heard Shu Luo's words, and he nodded quickly. It immediately raised a hand, patted its chest, and immediately clenched its 2 front legs. Punch into the air. It means that you want to become stronger, protect your master, and drive away all enemies for your master. Seeing this, Chen Luosi was relieved. He touched Little Spider-Man's head. You are indeed the most obedient and motivated. Little Spider-Man tapped a few times on the phone immediately, and typed out a few lines of words. After becoming a demon, can I become a human? Shu Luo was taken aback. It should be fine. Big devil, it's too easy to become a human being. Little Spider-Man's eyes lit up when he heard this, it's full of excitement. It immediately typed some words on the phone. Get stronger and stronger. Become a big devil. It jumped up in place, very happy. Shu Luo nodded. It is a good thing to have goals and drive. He touched Little Spider-Man. I believe you can become a big devil. Little Spider-Man comfortably enjoyed Shu Luo's touch, and half closed his eyes comfortably. Shu Luo looked at his research on the power of demons, and murmured. Soon, I will be able to temporarily control those powers of demons. At that time, I will be able to release the sealing method. You can seal the beast. After completing a day of research, Shu Luo went to the company. He did not slack in his daily exercise. After all, research can only bring him a strong potential and a part of his strength. To tap these potentials and turn them into his own strength requires his unremitting efforts. Definitely. This kind of effort, Luo also likes it very much. After all, after every effort, you will be able to clearly see your results and your progress. This inch-by-inch progress is an inch-by-inch joy, and it is the meaning of his hard work. Soon, he came to the company, ready to start training. Just at this time, a crisp voice of surprise sounded behind Shu Luo. Hey, it's you. Then he was tapped on the shoulder. Hear this crisp girlish voice. Shu Luo knew who the other party was in an instant. Ghost Spider, Spider Gwen. When he turned sideways, he saw Gwen's beautiful face, the pink hair tips, and a pair of big, clear eyes, sparkling. He looked down. On the large chest, there is a work card. Above is Gwen's photo and name, as well as job information. Osborne's trainee. Shu Luo asked, "You work here?" There was a trace of pride on Gwen's small face, and she puffed up her chest slightly. "Yes, I got an offer from Osborne yesterday. As of today, I'm a part of Osborne." Her eyes were bent into crescent moons. Able to enter Osborne, Gwen was still very proud. After all, no one knows the name of Osborne Company now. Many people are saying that this is a rising future giant with top biotechnology and core treatment technology. In a short period of time, it was reborn and became one of the top most influential enterprises in the country. Gwen is naturally very proud to be able to enter such a top biological company. On Shu Luo's chest, little Spider-Man poked out a small head, and stared at the person in front of him with big eyes. Looking at the pretty face in front of him, little Spider-Man tilted his head, his eyes seemed to have a hint of vigilance. Seeing the cute little Spider-Man on Shu Luo's chest, Gwen widened her beautiful eyes slightly. Is this your pet? It's so cute." Shu Luo nodded slightly. Gwen said, Can I touch it?" Hear this. Little Spider-Man immediately retracted his head and hid it in Shu Luo's. Shu Luo said, "It is more afraid of strangers." Seeing this, Gwen nodded disappointedly. "Okay." Immediately, he looked at Shu Luo with bright eyes. "I didn't expect that you don't like spiders." As a ghost spider and a superhero with spider ability, Gwen naturally has a special affection for spiders. Not to mention cute spiders with two big eyes like little Spider-Man. And, not sure why, Gwen felt that little Spider-Man seemed a little different from other spiders. What was the difference? Gwen couldn't say. Is it because this little Spider-Man is cuter that she feels the difference? Gwen didn't know either. Because of the existence of little Spider-Man, Gwen suddenly felt that Shu Luo seemed to look a little better. Gwen looked at Shu Luo. "By the way, why are you here?" Shu Luo said, "Come in and do something." Gwen looked at Shu Luo's chest and found that there was no official badge. Suddenly I realized something. In her opinion, Shu Luo should be the kind of outsourced staff, such as repairing some things, or cleaning the glass of a building. Look at the other party did not say their specific work. Gwen thought that the other party was embarrassed to tell the content of his work. Gwen didn't mention it again. She just smiled and said, "If there is anything that needs my help, you can let me know. As an intern at Osborne, I still have a little bit of ability." She glanced at the time and let out an ouch. "I'm going, it's almost time. I can't be late on the first day of work." She quickly waved to Shu Luo. "Stop talking, then I'll go to work first." Finished. She quickly ran towards the inside. Seeing Gwen's disappearing back, Shu Luo murmured. Unexpectedly, Gwen came to work in Osborne. At this time, Kurt came up. "Boss, is that girl someone you know?" Shu Luo nodded. "It's considered acquaintance." Kurt said, "Would you like to say hello and take care of her a little?" Shu Luo shook his hand. "It's not necessary. By the way, you go check on her." Shu Luo lowered his voice, and Kurt hurriedly leaned into his ear. He knew that the boss wanted to say something more private. After this period of time, Kurt's understanding of the boss and his ability to observe the situation have gone a step further. "See if we can find out the source of her ability. Look up how she got the ability." Hear Shu Luo's words. Kurt froze for a moment. "Ability? Does she have any super abilities?" Shu Luo nodded slightly. Kurt nodded quickly. "Okay, boss, I'll go down and investigate." Shu Luo continued walking. "By the way, later on, I will hand over the hand to you to take care of and expand your intelligence network." Kurt as his butler figure and his chief intelligence officer. The hand will be subdued by him. It was originally used by him to inquire about information. Now it just happens to be handed over to Kurt to take care of it. Let your own intelligence forces gather to play a greater role. Kurt heard Shu Luo's words. The whole person was taken aback for a moment. He widened his eyes and looked at Shu Luo in disbelief. He whispered, "Boss, you mean, you want to give me your hands? That powerful top organization in Hell's Kitchen?" As the current intelligence chief of Osborne Corporation, Kurt knew of the hand, of course. That is the top ninja organization, and it is a large and famous organization in New York. As a result, the boss now said that he would give this organization to him. Naturally, this made Kurt feel weird. Shu Luo nodded. Rao is that Kurt has been tempered during this period of time, and most of the things have been calm, and he is not sure about favor or disgrace. But after seeing the boss nodding for confirmation, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He looked at his boss in amazement. He didn't expect that. My own boss subdued the hand society without making a sound. He, the boss, is too capable of surprising people. As for doubting the veracity of the matter, Kurt had none of it. After all, in his opinion, the boss never speaks big words. Since he said it, it must be true. Shortly after, the hand was officially handed over to Kurt. With this powerful intelligence and force organization in hand, Kurt still felt a little unrealistic. After all, he never thought that one day, he would be able to master such a legendary Li Huang. Gwen took the elevator upstairs after running away. She looked at her badge, looked at Osborne on it, and murmured, "I don't know, where is it?" Shu Luo sighed. Research is progressing rapidly. Soon. Shu Luo looked at the various complex formulas and data on the screen. There was a gleam of joy in his eyes. Very good, finally succeeded, nice. After this period of hard work, Shu Luo finally completed the control of the power of the demon. According to Shu Luo's research, Shu Luo discovered that the reason why the old woman was able to control these demonic powers was because these demonic powers had undergone special settings. Being able to meet the special brainwaves of the old woman, that is, the special spirit of the old woman, can produce a special resonance. Based on his research, these special brainwaves should be due to the changes made by the beast to the old woman's body, so that the old woman's brainwaves can control the power of these demons. Through special brainwaves, to arouse the resonance of these special demon powers, so as to guide these demon powers. Shu Luo then created a special brainwave medium. Let your own brainwaves be transformed into that special brainwaves to control the power of demons. Only needs to transform brainwaves into a medium. Well, soon he will be able to control the power of demons. However, because it is through the media, it is impossible to control it as freely as Zheng et al. Shu Luo doesn't care, he only cares about whether he can control the power of the demon and whether he can release special secret techniques. Shu Luo moved quickly and began to create transformation media. Work quickly in the laboratory, he started making brainwave sensors. The EEG sensor captures the electrical activity signals of brain neurons by contacting the sensor electrodes with the surface of the scalp. However, the sensor made by Shu Luo does not need to be in contact with the surface of the scalp. It only needs to be within a certain range to capture the electrical activity signals of the brain supplement neurons. These signals are produced by electrochemical reactions between neurons in the brain, and can reflect human cognition, emotion, and movement in the brain. Sensors convert these electrical signals into digital signals, which are then analyzed and interpreted by electronic systems. Definitely, capturing is only the first part. The second part is to transform these brainwaves into the special brainwaves of the old woman, so as to resonate with the power of the devil. Throughout the laboratory, Shu Luo's hands were as fast as lightning, and they turned into afterimages, making it hard to see clearly. Under that powerful speed, soon, a brand new jet black slim alloy headband appeared. Dark and shiny, there is a sense of hardness. This is Shu Luo's brainwave converter, and it is also a special thing to control his own demonic power. See what's in front of you. There was a trace of satisfaction in Shu Luo's eyes. He immediately picked up the thing, worn on his head. He opened the bracelet again, releasing the power of the devil. Immediately, under the guidance of the bracelet, the power of the devil poured into his body, melting his body. He opened his headband. Next moment, he clearly felt the existence of the demon power in his body. This time it was clearly felt. Follow his thoughts. Immediately, the power of the devil in the body began to move with his own consciousness. Flowing in the body. Seeing that he could indeed control the power of demons, Shu Luo's eyes showed a gleam of joy. He immediately controlled his emotions, because next, he will start trying to release the secret technique. But Shu Luo naturally couldn't release the secret technique in this secret laboratory. After all, the beast is here too. If the secret technique is released, it may be noticed and felt by it, and the other party may even be able to determine what secret technique is released. If this is the case, it will scare the snake away. Think here. Shu Luo immediately closed the headband and bracelet, walked out of the equipment room and walked towards the outside of the secret laboratory. Beast and Haikong also saw this scene. Beast raised his eyebrows slightly. What's going on? Why did this kid leave so early today? It's only been a while, and you're leaving? Haikong was silent and did not speak. The current black sky has closed itself. I don't want to speak anymore. The beast muttered. It seems that this kid may have encountered something, so let's go out. It's okay. Here, I feel upset when I look at it. Immediately, The beast smiled in his heart, very happy. Soon, my surgery will be completed. At that time, I will be able to escape from this hell. I'm free again. Ha ha ha, sure enough, no one can stop me. When I escape, you will be finished. I'd like to see how you can clean up the mess. I'd like to see how you deal with the Dimension Master. Hey, I have suffered so much, I want you to know that offending me is the most regrettable thing for you. Thinking that soon, I will be able to see your shocked and terrified appearance, and I feel extremely comfortable in my heart, and I am almost ecstatic. With his secret technique has progressed more than half. The beast's whole mood is much happier, and the previous depression has disappeared. Keep going. Victory is ahead, light is coming. The beast worked hard again and continued to complete its own secret art. While the beast continues to work hard, the other side. Shu Luo also returned to the safe house. He began to release the secret technique as taught by the old woman. He uttered an obscure incantation, feeling the power of the devil in his body. Soon, the power of the demon turned into a secret technique and was released by Shu Luo. It's just that there is no sealed thing in front of him, so Buchan is sealed. However, the secret technique was indeed released successfully. After completing the release of the sealing technique, a smile finally appeared on Shu Luo's face. It's finally finished. Next, we just need to wait for the beast to complete its secret technique and release its Black Sky Connection contract. In the following days, Shu Luo basically lived in the secret laboratory. After all, he didn't want to be absent when the beast released the secret technique. At the same time, his research on abominations is also advancing by leaps and bounds. It won't be long before he can successfully copy the brand new version of the horsepower star on his body. Inside an exclusive conference room, Shu Luo and Kurt stood among them. Shu Luo said, "Why, did you find anything?" Kurt nodded. Shu Luo raised his eyebrows slightly. "What did you find?" Kurt said, "You asked me to investigate Gwen and why she gained the ability. I checked and found no clues at all. She became a ghost spider, and hardly anyone knew about it. She does a very good job of keeping it secret. So I didn't find out how she got the ability." Hearing this, Shu Luo's eyelids twitched slightly. "Is this called found?" Kurt continued, "Although I haven't found any more clues about Gwen. But as I checked, I found out that Gwen came to our company for an impure purpose. At least it's not just for work, it seems to be looking for something." Shu Luo asked, "What are you looking for? Is there anything else in our company that Gwen needs to come to work to look for?" "Extraordinary spider," Shu Luo murmured. Kurt shook his head, "No. The extraordinary spider is placed there, there is no need to look for it at all. Gwen didn't look for the extraordinary spider." Talking. Kurt took the tablet out put it in front of Shu Luo. The above are the monitoring of some companies, all about Gwen. Gwen walked around the lab, occasionally glancing around, looking through cabinets or something. But in the end, they basically found nothing, and there was a hint of frustration in their eyes. Shu Luo said, "Do you know what she is looking for?" Kurt shook his head. "I don't know that, I just noticed what she was looking for. But the specific content, I don't know." Shu Luo nodded slightly. He pondered for a while and said, "By the way, find a chance to help me get Gwen's current DNA." Shu Luo mainly wanted to see if the extraordinary gene sequence set of the Gwen spider was the same set of extraordinary gene sequence set on the company's extraordinary spider. He wanted to see if the opponent was made by an extraordinary spider. The opponent's spider ability, what the hell is going on? Kurt nodded when he heard Shu Luo's words. "Okay, I usually pay attention to find opportunities to collect her DNA." Shu Luo continued, "Is that what you want to tell me?" Kurt shook his head. "It's not just Gwen. You asked me to check the Essex group, and I found something too." Shu Luo said, "What did you find out? Have you found out what kind of technology and genetic weapons the Essex group has?" Kurt shook his head. "These are Essex's secrets. We haven't found any useful information. They keep them very strict. It's as solid as gold, a solid piece of iron, and there is no news at all. But I found something else. That is, the people in Essex seem to have made some big moves recently, looking for something. A lot of manpower and material resources were used, and even the number of people who went out to find mutant was greatly reduced, just for this matter." Shu Luo raised his eyebrows and asked, "What are they looking for?" "Even reduced the search for mutant. It seems that what they are looking for is very important to them." Shu Luo thought for a while, but there were no more clues, so he didn't know what the other party was looking for. But he understood that the other party should be looking for something quite extraordinary, something of very high value. It should be of great help to enhance the strength of Essex. Otherwise, it is impossible for the other party to greatly reduce mutant search. After all, Searching for mutants and studying the power of cloning mutants has always been the most important task for Essex. Let go of your main task now, because you have to do another heavy one. This fully demonstrates the importance of that matter. As far as Shu Luo is concerned, he does not want to see Essex continue to become stronger. After all, the two sides are contradictory, and he will take what he needs from Essex later. If the opponent becomes stronger, it will become very difficult to take things. Therefore, he would rather see the decline of Essex. Kurt said, I still need to investigate further. I guess they should be able to find what they're looking for soon. Hearing what Kurt said, Zai Luo nodded. Essex has conflicts with us, and their growth is not good for us. Shu Luo looked at Kurt calmly. Kurt nodded. I understand, boss. I'll find out what they're looking for as soon as possible. The other side. Essex Intelligence Services. Intelligence personnel are communicating. All frowned. Recently, it seems that someone is investigating us in Essex, asking about the internal situation of our company. Yes, and the other party seems to be doing so through many channels. In addition, there seem to be some figures around our headquarters. Those figures are very stealthy and fast. By the time we pass by, they will have disappeared long ago. Very professional and powerful, it seems that someone is eyeing us. Yes, I don't know who is after us, at this time. Donald, the leader of the mercenaries, walked in. He said, You said we have been targeted recently? The intelligence officer nodded immediately. At the same time, they told Donald what they just said. Donald frowned slightly. There are still people eyeing our Essex. Don't they know our means, as well as our huge power and powerful power? They dare to target us. Seeing that the other party has a lot of background, he pondered. Who dares to stare at us? Shield? Heavenly Sword Bureau? Military Department? Or some powerful alliance? Donald said, It shouldn't be, we haven't done anything to offend these fakes recently. It shouldn't be after us. Donald was a little puzzled. As for Osborne, he was directly ignored by Donald. He naturally also knew about the company's recent conflict with Osborne, but in his opinion, Osborne was just a small existence, extremely inconspicuous to the company. He didn't think Osborne had the guts, the strength, to investigate their company. Donald said, Track these traces for me, and find those who are after us. He sneered. I want to see who is so bold. Yes. Time flies. Inside the secret lab, Shu Luo is studying the power of Gamma. Suddenly, a special fluctuation is brewing and spreading. Shu Luo narrowed his eyes slightly. Are you here? I'd like to see whose power you borrowed. The little Spider-Man next to him is studying intently. Hearing Shu Luo's words, he immediately put down the pen in his hand. It immediately raised its head and looked at Shu Luo with big eyes. Because it knows that its boss's plan is about to start. Shu Luo looked at little Spider-Man. I told you before, did you remember? After inheriting the memory and magic power of the devil, you have to release the secret technique that can steal the sky and change the sun, and cover up the deal made by the devil. Let the master of that dimension be unaware. Know what to do in a while. Little Spider-Man nodded hastily, like a chicken pecking at rice. Seeing this, Shu Luo showed a satisfied look. You are very smart, and I am relieved to leave the matter to you. Hear Shu Luo's words. Little Spider-Man's eyes lit up instantly, showing a joyful expression, and his buttocks twisted. It is very happy to be praised by Shu Luo, its ass going up to the sky. Woo. Little Spider-Man raised his head and whined, like a husky disguised as a wolf. See here. The corners of Shu Luo's mouth turned slightly, and he touched little Spider-Man's head. Let's go out. The little Spider-Man jumped on Shu Luo's shoulder and followed Shu Luo towards the outside. In a room in the secret laboratory, the beast is very happy at the moment. Just because it is about to escape from its clutches. Its secret art is about to be completed, this naturally makes it very happy. It laughed loudly in Hei Kong's heart. Soon, I will jump out of here. Immediately, this kid is going to be in bad luck. Just relying on this kid, he still wants to imprison me, it's just a dream. I am the original devil, but the first generation of devil, no one can imprison me. No one can keep me deflated, only I can deflate others. Compared to the joy of the beast, Hei Kong was extremely silent, as if he had lost his vitality. She just lay straight on the stage, staring blankly at the ceiling. Black empty body. The power of one after another demon is constantly running, depicting special lines. A huge special pattern is forming. The whole pattern is only a few steps away. Take these last few steps. A dark and cold breath overflowed. At this point, the secret technique has basically been completely completed, and it has entered an irreversible state, and it is completely unstoppable. Just at this time, the doors suddenly opened. Immediately, Shu Luo walked in. Seeing Shu Luo coming in, the beast was first startled, and then a trace of exposed panic rose in his heart. After all, for today's beast, the fear of Shu Luo has almost been carved into its bones. Seeing Shu Luo, it couldn't help feeling a little flustered. It subconsciously shouted, "You! How did you come? Carrot." But then, it remembered that its action had reached the last step, and it was irreversible. Shu Luo can't stop it from performing secret techniques. What if it was discovered? There is no other way to get it. Also, it is a majestic primitive demon, a high-level great demon. Why should it be afraid of a human being? For his panic, the beast became a little angry from embarrassment. After all, a high-ranking demon subconsciously felt flustered towards a human being. This is probably an extremely explosive situation in the entire demon world. If you say it, you will be laughed at by all the devils. Its originally terrified tone changed instantly. It became a little louder. "Why do you suddenly think of coming to see me?" Shu Luo didn't speak, just stared at it. At the same time, on Shu Luo's shoulder, little Spider-Man has two big eyes, shining brightly, looking at the black sky and the beast excitedly. For some reason, little Spider-Man's little eyes made the animal's heart feel slightly numb. Seeing that Shu Luo ignored it, the beast became even more angry. After all, what it hates the most is Shu Luo, always ignoring it. Since its birth, it has almost never encountered such a situation, never encountered such a treatment. After all, whoever sees it should not be respectful or frightened. It has never seen such an arrogant human being like Shu Luo. How presumptuous it is to a great demon worthy of a god. It is a heinous crime. The beast shouted angrily, "Shu Luo, you are really deceiving people too much. You are too arrogant." It laughed angrily. "I tell you, you will be finished soon. You know why I've been so silent during this time? That's because I'm building a secret technique. Now the secret technique is about to be completed, soon I will escape. At the same time, you will suffer unimaginable disasters. This calamity is the punishment given to you by the great primitive demon. You will pay an irreparable price for your arrogance. Ha 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 ha." The beast laughed wantonly. At the same time, I am drawing the last stroke of the secret technique. An astonishing aura overflowed from Haikong's body. I feel it, this amazing breath. It's too late for you to stop me. The beast wanted to see Shu Luo's terrified appearance, but found that the other party had that deadman's face without any fluctuations. It seems that that face will never change its expression, it will always be so calm and as usual, and the sky will not fall far away. See here. The beast froze for a moment. Why do you still have a dead man face? Don't you want to know what I'm doing? Don't you think my tone just now was very scary? Am I talking about a very scary thing? Immediately, the beast sneered and said, "Forget it, I don't care what your expression looks like. You're done." Inside the black space, the last sketch is done. Next moment, boom! A burst of powerful power fluctuations was released from Haikong's body. In midair, a crack slowly opened. The power that is as black as ink and as rich as milk overflows. That trace of black power has an incomparably terrifying aura. It seems to be a great horror originally. At this moment, a dark and profound complex rune appeared on Haikong's forehead. Infinite black light circulates in it, and the face of Haikong and the vague face of the devil can be vaguely seen inside. Seeing that rune, Shu Luo understood that this should be the contract between Haikong and the beast. A stream of force overflowing from the gap pressed against the complicated and obscure rune, as if carrying a mighty force. Collapse. The runes shattered inch by inch. A streak of black light burst out from the gap. The rune is completely broken. A black aura flew out from Haikong's body. The beast rejoiced. Ha 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 ha. I'm finally out of trouble. Goodbye. Smelly. Suddenly, the beast's joyful sound stopped abruptly, and the expression of panic sounded. How is this possible? The primordial demon just got out of trouble and was about to flee far away. It turned out that Shu Luo began to chant quickly. A trace of demon power emerged from his body, forming a series of dark lines in front of him, as if forming a special pattern. See this scene. The original demon only felt his scalp burst. Because Shu Luo actually used the secret technique. Obviously the other party is a normal human being, how can he use the joy of the devil? It doesn't give permission to the other party. This scene is beyond the original devil's imagination. And how does it feel that the mantra that the other party is chanting is somewhat familiar? How is this possible? How could you use the devil's secret technique? At this moment, then the crack is still slowly widening. Behind the crack is pitch black as the main tone, mixed with various dim 7-color dreamy brilliance. More intense dark power emerges from it. Even more terrifying coercion is moving around. It seems that an extremely terrifying existence is coming. The terrifying coercion spread out in an instant, covering several surrounding blocks in an instant. Many people have felt this terrifying coercion, which comes from the terrifying deterrent force of the Dimension Master. Everyone felt as if death was coming, and their hearts were full of fear and trembling. This. What does it feel like? Why do I feel so terrified, as if some horrible existence has descended? I feel like the end is coming. What's going on? It's over, it's over. I feel like I'm going to die soon, and the world will soon fall into boundless darkness. Faced with the terrifying coercion, almost everyone froze, unable to move at all. Except for ordinary people, the surrounding superheroes are basically treated similarly. Spider-Man was carrying out justice and just knocked a gangster to the ground. As a result, I felt this horrible breath. His whole body froze in an instant, and fear started from his heart. This. What does this feel like? It's a terrible feeling, as if some horrible existence is about to descend. He slowly turned his head and looked around, trying to find out where the terrifying coercion came from. But can't find the source at all. Iron Fist lay on his own bed, closed his eyes, and was about to sleep. The terrifying coercion came, and he suddenly opened his eyes, with a trace of fear in his eyes. What's going on? A superhero and extraordinary criminal felt the terrifying deterrent force from the Dimension Master, and his scalp was numb. Inside the secret lab, the original demon, the Beast, was surprised by Shu Luo's performance, but felt the increasingly terrifying coercion. It understands that it must leave immediately. Otherwise, you will suffer together. No, I have to go. Just when the Beast was about to leave, suddenly it found that it couldn't move, and an invisible force seemed to restrain it. What's going on? Why can't I move? At this time, the special pattern in front of Shu Luo also formed. Immediately, the pattern turned into a giant black hand, which instantly grabbed the Beast. Looking at the pattern, looking at the giant black hand, a flash of inspiration flashed in the Beast's mind. Suddenly a secret technique emerged in its mind. The Beast shouted in horror. This is the art of special contract. Damn it. How did you know this technique? No, no, no. I want to escape. The Beast tried its best to get rid of the invisible force and escape from this place. It's just all in vain. It can't get rid of it at all. It could only watch helplessly as it was grabbed by that black hand and stretched towards Shu Luo's shoulder. On the shoulder, the little Spider-Man stood, eyes full of joy, anticipation and tension. Both front feet were rubbing nervously. You want to seal me into this spider's body? Seeing that he was about to be sealed in the spider's body, Zheng's mentality collapsed in an instant. The new body you found for me turned out to be a spider? An animal? No, no, no. The Beast is struggling hard. It wants to get rid of all this. Unfortunately, it's useless. Next moment, the Beast's black aura was put into little Spider-Man's body by the giant hand. Immediately afterwards, invisible fluctuations were released from little Spider-Man's body. Little Spider-Man rises slowly. Endless black aura burst out from both eyes. The black on it is slowly fading, and a little bit of white begins to emerge. It is changing from a black spider to a white spider. At the same time, the body has become more rounded. There are also a pair of ear-like things protruding from the head, which are soft, with a trace of powder protruding from the tip. The originally pitch-black pupils also began to turn pink, as if they were about to turn into a pink gem. There is also a trace of black aura emerging from the whole body, as if turning into silk threads, covering little Spider-Man. It was like a pitch-black cocoon suspended in midair. An astonishingly distant breath overflows from the cocoon. Shu Luo understands that this is little Spider-Man in metamorphosis, deeply integrated with the original demon, which makes little Spider-Man's physique begin to demonize. At the time of little Spider-Man metamorphosis, the gap is also getting bigger and bigger. You can see more weird and dark backgrounds in the gap. Looking at the background in the gap, Zai Luo narrowed his eyes slightly. That figure looks very familiar to him. It seems to be the dark dimension ruled by Dormammu. Shu Luo murmured. So, the Beast borrowed the power of Dormammu. Dormammu will devour everything, and if this goes on, soon everything around will be devoured. However, because it is only borrowed power, it is borrowed according to the rules. This is a procedural process, and it will not be completed in an instant, so there is still a time gap to make up for all of this. You can use the secret technique of stealing the sky and changing the sun to cut off all this, cover up this transaction. He looked at Hey Cocoon. According to what he understands, deep integration is very fast. That's why little Spider-Man can complete metamorphosis and use the secret technique that steals the sky when Dormammu's power really works, when it really causes harm. A more intense and terrifying power of darkness emerges. The surrounding instruments began to crack and collapse under the force of darkness. At the same time, those dark forces began to condense, as if to form an eye-shaped thing. Shu Luo understood, it was Dormammu's duplication. Once formed, the program is fully completed and linked to the Dormammu himself. If that's the case, you'll be in real trouble. He looked at He Yu, frowned slightly and said, hurry up. Next moment, the black cocoon explodes with infinite black light. Split. A brand new silhouette appears. When Shu Luo saw this, a gleam of joy appeared in his eyes. It's done. Quick. Little Spider-Man has completely changed. A pair of long, soft ears grew out, with pink tips. The base is white, with some black, and a few feet with a little pink. The whole body is fleshy, very round, and looks very cute and cute. Two big eyes, like pink amber, are clear and flawless, with a hint of clear stupidity. Looking at the brand new little Spider-Man, Shu Luo was slightly taken aback. Didn't he become a demon? Shouldn't it be more fierce, or more charming? Why did it become cuter? Although little Spider-Man has become fatter and more girly, but it has a terrible sense of coercion. The sense of coercion is somewhat similar to Dormammu's coercion, only lighter and lighter. Seeing this, Shu Luo said to himself, it's similar to Dormammu's coercion. Is this because little Spider-Man integrated the original demon power? Do you also have a high-level personality similar to Dormammu? When Shu Luo's thoughts turned, the Dormammu duplication on the side is also slowly condensing, and a rough shape has taken shape. Like a huge amounts of eyeball. Seeing this, Shu Luo frowned. Little Spider-Man moved. Its front feet gestured in midair. Some obscure incantations were chanted in his mouth, like sounds from outside the sky, with a long and profound charm. From its body, traces of dark demon power flew out, forming a special pattern around it. See here. Shu Luo understands that little Spider-Man is releasing that special secret technique, and he is going to steal the sky and change the sun, to cover up the beast's transaction. The black sky next to him was after the contract with the beast was terminated. Showing a look of lovelessness, he slumped on the operating table. Originally, she was already in a bad position, but at this moment, abnormal changes occurred frequently. Seeing the little Spider-Man suspended in midair, she was a little stunned, her mouth slightly opened. She couldn't believe what she saw. Caught by and sealed in a spider's body. A spider is releasing a secret technique. See this scene. He Kong felt his head go down slightly. She really didn't expect that this little Spider-Man was so smart that it could release the secret technique just after integrating its power. This shows that before the integration, the wisdom of this little Spider-Man is completely comparable to that of a human being, even a genius among married beauties. Black Sky does not know little Spider-Man, nor has he seen the scene of little Spider-Man learning. So she always thought that little Spider-Man was just an ordinary spider. So when little Spider-Man releases secret techniques and recites special spells, he will be so surprised. She looked at Shu Luo next to her, and her surprise deepened. What kind of monster is this guy? What kind of existence is it? Why is the little Spider-Man around me so miraculous? Didn't the beast say that the other party is an ordinary human being? Isn't it a demon or a god? This moment, He Kong was completely suspicious. After all, in her opinion, can a human being make a primitive demon so terrified and desperate? When a human being can last for a few days, the 10,000 stars will skyrocket. Can pets around a human have human-like intelligence? She is also a human being. How can a human being be so terrifying and extraordinary? Even if you look at the entire human history, there is no such extraordinary existence. This is not a human being, this is the reincarnation of God. He Kong looked at Shu Luo's figure, and the fear in his eyes deepened. It was the fear of facing the unknown. It's just that Zai Luo didn't notice He Kong's eyes at all. His attention is on the side of the gap. At the same time, the cracks in that dimension also expanded more and more, and the power of darkness overflowed more and more. Under the influence of these powerful and terrifying forces of darkness, the surrounding instruments, tables and chairs, etc., all collapsed and collapsed. There were also cracks in the surrounding walls, and the cracks were constantly expanding. It seemed that after a while, the walls would not be able to support them, and they would all collapse. And the duplication of Dormammu became more and more solid with the injection of these dark powers, and it seemed that it was about to take shape. Shu Luo frowned slightly, and murmured in his heart, "Hurry up, little Spider-Man." It seemed to be echoing Shu Luo's muttering in his heart. As soon as he finished speaking, little Spider-Man completed his secret technique. An invisible force burst out, rushed to the gap. Like two invisible big hands, squeezing the gap towards the middle. The gap is slowly closed, the power of darkness is getting less and less, and the speed of the big eyeballs that were originally solidified quickly has been greatly reduced. The gap became a line, and finally disappeared completely. The power of invisible also diffused toward the deeper depths of the rule, smoothing out this transaction and realizing a real steal. Let Dormammu not find this deal. At the same time, the power of the secret technique also cut off the connection between the big eyeball duplication and the main body. The shape of the big eyeball also slightly collapsed and blurred. But it's only blurry. Soon, the size of the big eyeballs began to shrink, and at the same time began to solidify. See this scene. Shu Luo didn't panic in the slightest. Because the big eyeballs at this moment have been completely cut off from the subject and are independent existences. Although it may be that the big eyeballs are still very powerful. But as long as there is no link with Dormammu, and Dormammu is not aware of what happened here, then everything is within the scope of Shu Luo's acceptance. The mapped Dormammu duplication is fully formed. The big eyes of a motorcycle file size are suspended in midair, and the whole body is like a cosmic starry sky contained in it, with a strong sense of coercion. The big eyeballs looked at Shu Luo, little Spider-Man and Hey Kong in front of them. It looked at little Spider-Man and made a deep and distant voice. You actually cut off my connection with the main body. What an extraordinary method. You exude the aura of a primitive demon, but you are very weak. In your body, there seems to be a primitive demon. But, this primitive demon is very weak. The top-level great demon, who has the same personality as my main body, but is so weak in strength, is really strange. It's really amazing. Let me grab and explore. I want to see, who is the original demon in your body. But before doing it again, I want to recover my debt. I want to sacrifice this debt and reconnect to the main body. Finished. Black light bloomed from the body of the big eyeball, and a black hand protruded from the void. Seize the market. Shu Luo narrowed his eyes slightly. Stop it. Never let it connect to the soil. Dark dimension. There is endless power of darkness permeating inside. The darkness and various colors are mixed together, as if there is a touch of aurora in the night. With a sense of illusion and confusion, weird and peculiar. In this dark dimension, there are still many devoured worlds, all turned into sculptures, without a trace of livelihood, and dead silent. It's like a completely dead place here, suddenly. In the boundless dark dimension, a face with huge amounts of condensed out. A pair of eyes seems to contain the infinite cosmic star sea, miraculous and extraordinary. A trace of surprise flashed across its eyes, and then its brows frowned slightly. It sensed that someone had just borrowed power from it. It even reflects a force, forming a duplication. But when noticed this slight change, the connection between it and the duplication was severed. Moreover, when it wanted to study it carefully, it found a blank space, and did not find the existence that borrowed its power at all. Nothing seems to have happened, but I feel a trace of power that I have disappeared. Although it was only a tiny bit of power, it was truly missing a little bit of power. It instantly understood why. Someone covered it up, someone erased the deal. Interesting, someone dares to prostitute my power for nothing. When he said these words, Dormammu's voice became more angry, and his eyes became more tyrannical. Dormammu hates being prostituted the most in his life. Just because there is a guy, he has been whoring his power for nothing. In Dormammu's mind, the image of that bald head emerged. Even, this guy is more hateful than Ancient One. After borrowing my power, in order not to repay the debt, I even erased the records. Dormammu's angry voice was like thunder, resounding in the vast space, shaking the surrounding space. It even concealed my identity. I don't even know who borrowed the power and stole it by mistake. The power was stolen, and I don't know who did it. This annoyed Dormammu even more. Anger fuels Dormammu's violent, majestic power. The power of terror surges out. Boom boom boom. The huge petrified planets and magnificent wonders instantly collapsed. This doomsday-like power is simply terrifying. It is terrifying. Space is distorted. After a moment of anger, Dormammu's eyes regained their calmness, but they were cold and frightening. Dormammu murmured. The fact that the entire transaction can be erased, so that I can't even notice it, means that there is an extremely high-level existence who made a move. But it will erase the entire transaction. It seems that the party to the transaction is afraid of me and dare not let me know the entire transaction. So they invited a very high-level existence to erase this deal. The other party deliberately concealed his identity, and it seems that he is quite afraid of me. Very good, thief, your little trick this time deserves it. Don't think that you are completely safe and sound. I will definitely track down your identities. I'll make you double spit out what you stole. No one can prostitute my power for nothing. Infinite and terrifying power rolled within Dormammu's body. The other side. Inside the secret lab, Big Eyeball launched an attack on Hei Kong. Prepare to sacrifice Hei Kong to gain more powerful power, so as to link to the main body again and gain the support of the main body. Once it is linked with the main body, it has an endless field of force. Shu Luo moved immediately. The black aura strengthening body burst out with great power. He punched the big black hand. Boom! In an instant, a huge shockwave radiated out. There were more cracks in the surrounding walls in an instant, and all the walls seemed to be crumbling. Those black hands collapsed in an instant, turning into black auras one after another. The big eyeballs let out a sound of surprise. Hey, I haven't discovered just now that you, an ordinary human, have mastered the power of demons. It's really weird. And you, a human being, are so powerful that you even defeated my demon hand. You are really a rare human being. I didn't expect that there are so many things that surprise me in this small room. It's really weird. But you want to stop me, it's unrealistic. Finished. The big eyeballs erupted with even more terrifying power, and even larger and solid black hands protruded from the void. The black hand was as solid as a real hand, and it couldn't be seen that it was the condensed power of darkness. With astonishing power, the terrifying black hand pressed down on the black sky, as if an endless abyss was pressed down. Boundless fear rose in Hei Kong's whole heart. She felt that she was really going to die this time. Shu Luo's eyes froze. Blue shadow. Just when he was about to make another shot. Little Spider-Man strikes again. It landed on Shu Luo's head, and he looked at the big eyeballs in front of him calmly. Its legs waved again. A trace of dark power suddenly appeared. A mysterious and obscure pattern emerged in front of it again. Subsequently, behind Little Spider-Man, a phantom of a demon emerged. It was so blurry that I couldn't see clearly. But there was a long, deep, strange and evil aura all over his body. Just when the black hand rushed to the black sky. Little Spider-Man's secret technique has been completed. A black beam of light erupted from the phantom of the demon behind him. In an instant, it pierced through the huge black hand in front of it. The attack has not stopped yet. The black beam of light continued to move forward. He rushed straight to the big eyeball. Seeing this, Big Eyeball said in amazement, "This is an ancient secret technique. This demon looks so familiar." It chanted quickly. In an instant, a magic circle shield appeared in front of him. But it can't be stopped at all. Pung! The beam of light easily shattered the magic circle shield. The beam of light shot straight towards the big eyeball. Big Eyeball's eyes lit up, and seemed to remember something, and exclaimed, "So it's you. I didn't expect you to be on the earth. You haven't died yet. You actually hid so deeply that you completely covered up your true identity. It will immediately reveal the true identity of the beast, the identity it has been hiding all along. It's you, at this time." The beam of light that broke through the shield has come in front of the big eyeball. It directly penetrated the big eyeball. Let Big Eyeball's words stop abruptly. A big hole appeared in the middle of the big eyeball. The body began to slowly disintegrate, turning into wisps of black aura, which disappeared in midair. That's all. One strike. Big Eyeball, Dormammu's duplication, was destroyed by Little Spider-Man. Seeing this, Shu Luo raised his eyebrows slightly. What was this guy going to say just now? The true identity of the beast? Isn't the beast its true identity? Isn't the beast a primitive demon? A primitive demon named Beast? Shu Luo was thinking about Big Eyeball's last words just now. Unfortunately, Big Eyeball hadn't had time to speak clearly. It was directly defeated by the flying attack. Little Spider-Man fell to the ground, after hearing Shu Luo's words. It buried its head in self-blame, and its two front feet bumped slightly, like a poor child who did something wrong. Seeing this, Shu Luo shook his head and said, "It's okay, Little Spider-Man. You've done pretty well. You beat this Dormammu duplication. Although I haven't heard some news, it's harmless. You solved the trouble, very competent." Hear Shu Luo's words. Little Spider-Man slowly raised his head, looked at Shu Luo helplessly, with a hint of self-blame in his eyes. Shu Luo nodded solemnly. "You solved the biggest trouble. You are today's hero. See here." Little Spider-Man breathed a sigh of relief. There was a smile, and the eyes were bent into crescents. See this scene. The mouth of Hei Kong next to him was wide open, and his pupils were trembling. Dormammu's duplication was easily resolved. To know. That is the master of the dark dimension, a supreme existence. Even if it's just its duplication, it's a drop in the bucket. For ordinary people, it's almost invincible. As a result, it was solved by little Spider-Man so easily. This is really beyond Hei Kong's expectation. She turned her head slowly, looking at the pink and white little Spider-Man on Shu Luo's head. She really didn't expect that little Spider-Man would become so sleepy after deeply integrating with the beast. So, is this the true strength of the beast? The moment Dormammu duplication disappears, the huge coercion disappeared in an instant. Everyone in the entire block breathed a sigh of relief. Spider-Man felt his whole body relax, and the fear in his heart was gone. But the coercion just now deeply penetrated into his mind. That coercion is full of a sense of darkness and evil, as if facing the infinite abyss of hell. My God, what the hell is going on? Why did I feel so strongly just now? He lay on the tall building, looking at the pedestrians below who seemed to be frozen just now. At the same time, he jumped down and ran straight towards the ground. The cobweb in his hand flew out. In an instant, those cars were enveloped. Those who cannot steer the car because the driver is stiff. With the help of Spider-Man, none of those cars had any accidents. Spider-Man stood on the ground, looking at the cars that had been dealt with, and those who resumed their actions. Countless doubts arose in my heart. What the hell is going on? Why is this happening? Seeing so many cases of stiffness, it seems that not only me, but also everyone around me felt that special sense of oppression. And ordinary people feel more oppressed than me, completely stiff and unable to move. What happened? Where did this terrifying sense of oppression come from? Why did it suddenly disappear? Could it be that some horrible supervillain appeared? Then it was eliminated in a short period of time? Spider-Man looked around, puzzled, and frowned. He could only think of this situation. After all, in his opinion, there are all kinds of supervillains, and it is reasonable for a very terrifying existence to appear. It's just that he couldn't think of who it was, who came to the other party. At the same time, in other surrounding blocks, a superhero also appeared, and they took action to avoid accidents one after another. They stand in different places in the surrounding neighborhood. Or on the street, or in the corridor, or on the tall building. After they have finished their affairs, they all looked in all directions. They are all looking for the source of that coercion with their eyes. Some superheroes even saw each other. For example, Spider-Man saw Daredevil, Iron Fist, Black Panther, and even Scarlet Witch not far away. Even got to see some supervillains, Kingpin, Bullseye and more. They look at each other. Both saw a trace of doubt and a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Daredevil stood still, looking at the superhero in the distance. He murmured. This terrifying coercion radiates so far, countless people in a few blocks are frozen, unless someone with outstanding physique or willpower like superhero can barely resist. This is the coercion that has reached this level. How terrifying is the source of this coercion? Having said that, Daredevil's pupils trembled slightly. The strangeness of this block naturally attracted the attention of surrounding organizations. S.H.I.E.L.D. Inside the meeting room, Black Braised Egg frowned and said, "What's going on? People in several blocks have all froze. If it wasn't for the superheroes' action, I'm afraid they would be in trouble. It's going to cause a lot of accidents." Iron Man said, "I have just investigated it, and I have not found any clues about the coercion," they said. "And this kind of situation, we have never encountered before. It's a pity that Thor is not here, otherwise maybe we can ask him and see if he knows something." However, according to what they said, the coercion was full of dark and evil meanings, so nothing good happened. I just don't know why it suddenly disappeared again. At this time, there was a creak. The door was pushed open. A tall, strong man in armor walked in. "See who's coming." Iron Man was stunned. "Thor? Aren't you staying in Asgard? Why did you come to Earth?" Thor nodded. "Because I received relevant news, I came here. I've heard about the situation." He was sitting on a chair with an extraordinarily serious expression. See Thor's dignified appearance. The hearts of the people around them sank instantly, and it seemed that the situation was worse than they had imagined. Captain America said, "What's going on? Do you know anything about this?" Thor nodded slightly. "The reason why I came here in such a hurry is because I'm afraid this matter is very difficult. According to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s description, the coercion has immobilized countless people, and it is extremely dark and evil. This should be the coercion emanating from a powerful existence. Just coercion has achieved this step, which shows that the opponent's strength is extremely terrifying, so strong that the coercion can even be substantiated, even far surpassing my father. The other party is probably the master of a dimension. And it is full of dark and evil meanings, indicating that the other party should be an extremely terrifying evil god. But the radiation is only a few blocks away, which means that the other party probably didn't come to the Earth in person, but just reflected a duplication, so it has a certain coercion strength of the deity, but it doesn't have all the power. Projecting a part of the power out, this section looks like a means of dimension dominance. Dimension Master. A terrifying existence that rules a dimension, powerful enough to easily destroy a world. Speaking of which, Thor's face was extremely ugly. Heard Thor's words. The faces of the entire shield also changed. An evil god force that can easily destroy the earth appeared on the earth. This means that the earth may fall into a situation of destruction at any time. Thor continued. The other party is most likely a dimensional lord who rules a certain hell dimension, but I don't know which hell it is. After all, there are many hells. The hell dimension where the great demon Mephisto is located, and the dark dimension where Dormammu is located are all part of hell, but I don't know who is descending this time. No matter who it is an extremely terrifying existence. Even if it's just a part of the power they project, it's an extremely powerful existence. After all, there is a dimensional master behind him as a support, and he has almost a steady stream of constant power supplies. Almost an invincible existence. Thor's face was extremely ugly. At this moment, Captain America said, then why did the coercion only last for a while before disappearing? So the crisis is over. Thor shook his head. I don't know why the coercion suddenly disappeared. The biggest possibility is that the projected duplication hides itself. After all, the duplication dominated by the dimension is basically impossible to be eliminated, and there is the support of the deity behind it. Even if it is wiped out, a terrifying battle will break out. But the block is safe and sound, which means that there is no battle broke out, but the mapping duplication hides his identity. Thor's tone is extremely firm, and the firm reflection must be that he has hidden his identity, rather than being wiped out. But he doesn't know. That duplication has no support from the deity at all, and has been cut off from the deity long ago. Belonging to fight alone, was eventually wiped out. Captain America frowned tightly. Why did the other party do this? Thor shook his head. I don't know, maybe the other party has some secret plan. But the ruler of this hell dimension, what he planned must not be a good thing. I'm afraid the earth is being targeted by the other party, Thor said with a very serious expression on his face. Hearing this, the faces of the surrounding people were extremely solemn. Inside the entire meeting room, the air seems to be condensing, making people feel a little suffocated. Because of Thor's speculation, everyone feels infinite history. Iron Man frowned. We must investigate this matter closely, and track down that evil god you spoke of. We must investigate the matter to the bottom and find out the real purpose of that evil god. The rest of the people listened to Iron Man's words, and they all made up their minds. Listening to Thor's words, Iron Man felt a strong sense of crisis because of the symbiont last time, and this time it was even stronger. He murmured in his heart, I didn't expect that the earth is so dangerous now. Easily defeat my symbiote monster. An evil god who can easily destroy the world. This moment, a trace of cold sweat broke out on Iron Man's back. I thought I was strong enough, but I didn't expect that I was so weak. I am really arrogant, sitting in a well and watching the sky. He couldn't help clenching his fists, and there was a deep sense of worry in his eyes. I have to work harder. I have to keep building up my strength, strengthening my armor. Nano armor, I must make it as soon as possible. No doubt. This event, combined with Thor's words, brought about an even more drastic change in Iron Man's mentality. Made Iron Man even more aggressive. Because of Shu Luo's appearance last time, Iron Man stepped up to upgrade his armor, and the nano armor was almost designed. Coupled with this stimulus, the nano armor will be born much earlier than the original work. Might even be made before the Civil War happened. Compared with the original book, Iron Man's battle may reach an unprecedented height. All of this will undoubtedly greatly change the course of history. Shu Luo didn't know. Because of his appearance, some characters have undergone huge amounts of changes, and history has been rushing in an unknown direction. He is like a butterfly, flapping his wings lightly, causing huge amounts of storms to form, sweeping across the entire scroll of history. The rest are hearing Thor's words. They all had worried faces. The evil god who can easily destroy the world, is really terrifying. Under Thor's words, everyone's thinking was led astray, and they all fell into a deep worry, even with a trace of fear. They only feel that an invisible doomsday storm is brewing, and an unprecedented disaster may come soon. Yet they don't know it. That duplication has been eliminated. Even Dormammu didn't know exactly what happened. They thought there was a storm coming, but in reality, there was nothing. And the instigator of all this. At this moment, he is standing in his secret treasure laboratory like a normal person. Shu Luo looked at the little Spider-Man in front of him. The little Spider-Man at this moment is completely different. It is pink and white, very round, and looks very cute. Not at all demonic. It seems like a cute pet. Little Spider-Man blinked his pink pupils and looked at Shu Luo eagerly. Shu Luo looked at the little Spider-Man in front of him, showing a look of surprise, and the corners of his eyes twitched slightly. How did you become like this? The current appearance of little Spider-Man, Shu Luo, was completely unexpected. Not just because the other person has become cute. This is simply another. It's just another spider. Shu Luo opened his computer and found a few paintings from it. It was drawn in his spare time when he saw little Spider-Man. It is a pink and white cute spider. It was a character he liked quite a lot in his previous life, named Spider. The corner of Shu Luo's mouth twitched a few times. He looked at the little Spider-Man in front of him and said, "Did you become like this because you saw these paintings?" Little Spider-Man Chick Peck Mi nodded and smiled happily. It circled back and forth in front of Shu Luo, showing its new form, with a satisfied and happy expression on its face. Then it pointed to its own, and stammered a bit in a childish voice, "But..." Little Spider-Man spoke suddenly. Shu Luo was taken aback, his eyes slightly staring. He didn't expect that little Spider-Man could speak. Although little Spider-Man recited some obscure words before. But that's just chanting mantras, some special syllables. Shu Luo knows that little Spider-Man is very smart. After all, little Spider-Man can learn like a human. It's just because of the structure of the body, so can't speak before. Unexpectedly, after deeply integrating the power of the beast and turning it into a semi-demon, it is possible to speak. But thinking about it is also true, isn't it normal for demons to be able to talk? Shu Luo said, "Can you speak like a human?" Little Spider-Man nodded obediently, and stammered, "I can. Can speak. A little. But. Not very proficient." Here. Shu Luo showed a satisfied look. Little Spider-Man can speak now, although he still stutters a bit, but as long as he keeps practicing, with the wisdom of little Spider-Man, he should be able to master the words soon. In this way, it is much more convenient to communicate with little Spider-Man. There is no need to make some gestures as little Spider-Man wants to express, and can only express some simple meanings. If it is more complicated, write it down, but writing it down takes a lot of work. Being able to speak will undoubtedly save a lot of time. Seeing Shu Luo's expression, little Spider-Man smiled even more happily, with two long soft ears waving happily. Shu Luo said, "Very well, I will practice speaking more later, and it will be more convenient to communicate with me then." Little Spider-Man heard this, and the little chicken pecked at the rice and nodded. It stammered, I will work hard. Definitely. No. I won't give. Boss. Shame." Having said that, little Spider-Man raised his head, with his ears pricked up. His chest was raised slightly, and his eyes were extremely determined. Although he stuttered, his eyes were extremely firm. The whole little Spider-Man is like a sworn little red scarf. Shu Luo nodded. He believed that little Spider-Man would definitely be able to do it. After all, little Spider-Man's assiduousness was second only to him. Little Spider-Man is an ambitious and self-disciplined spider. Shu Luo looked at little Spider-Man. Little Spider-Man is now semi-demonic. The strength is even better than before. The most important thing, little Spider-Man integrates as the beast, a primordial demon with the potential to become very large. As long as little Spider-Man works hard, he can grow to a very high stage. By that time, he can find a way to help little Spider-Man continue to break through. But that time is still a little far away. Shu Luo continued, "How many demon secrets do you have now?" Little Spider-Man shook his head. "Not many, only a dozen or so." Shu Luo continued, "How will you become stronger in the future?" Little Spider-Man said, "Cultivate, practice, strengthen your own demonic power." Shu Luo pondered for a while. "Cultivate the power of demons, do you mean influence?" Little Spider-Man quickly shook his head. No, the devil, won't be affected." Hearing this, Shu Luo nodded. He continued, "Do you know the Dark God book?" Little Spider-Man froze for a moment, shook his head and said, "No, I don't know." Shu Luo nodded. Did not say anything more. In Shu Luo's opinion, perhaps the Dark Divine Book can speed up the improvement of little Spider-Man's strength. But the Dark Divine Book will affect the mind, and I don't know if it will affect demons like little Spider-Man. This kind of thing can only be explored later. Currently developing steadily. Shu Luo continued, "By the way, what happened to the beast?" According to the information he got before, after deep integrate, the beast has spent a lot of power, and it will fall into a deep sleep for a certain period of time. While sleeping, slowly regain vitality. After a while, the group will wake up. Little Spider-Man stammered. Dot has fallen into a deep sleep. Temporarily. Can't wake up. Shu Luo immediately said. Then you will continue to study, practice, and improve yourself in the days to come. Little Spider-Man nodded. Okay. Now. The addition of a little Spider-Man can be regarded as filling a short board on his magic side. After all, little Spider-Man is half a magician. After solving the trouble of the beast, Shu Luo devoted all his attention to his own affairs again. Study the power of Gamma again. He has reached the last few key points. As long as the last few key problems are solved, the problem of Gamma power can be overcome. Then you can make your body perfectly accommodate Gamma energy, burst out powerful Gamma power, and complete the real super strength metamorphosis. Ever since, Shu Luo continued to study. Now, what Shu Luo needs to do is to let his normal cells acquire the tolerance and explosive power of Gamma cells. It will not transform into special Gamma cells when the power explodes, that is, the Hulk and the Abominable. Throughout the laboratory. Except for the little stutter who was seriously babbling on the sidelines. It was the figure of Shu Luo flying across the laboratory. He flashed back and forth quickly throughout the laboratory. The speed is so fast that afterimages are left, as if several Shu Luo are working in the laboratory. While dissecting hatred. While conducting experimental analysis, experimental testing, and constantly making technological breakthroughs. Shu Luo murmured. How can I make my cells compatible with the two characteristics of ordinary cells and Gamma cells? In the same situation, accommodate the Gamma energy and exert the horsepower nose. He calculated and deduced quickly. Time is also slowly passing by. The other side. Inside a room. Madame Hydra sits in it. In front of her, there was a robot with red eyes. Mrs. Hydra looked at the other party and said, unexpectedly, Dr. Zola also came to join in the fun. The robot said, of course I want to take a look. After all, you are all interested in this Shu Luo, which means that he is really extraordinary. Such an extraordinary person, I naturally want to see him. The robot continued. Thinking about it, Madam should have found that Shu Luo. I don't know, can you share it with me? Hearing this, Mrs. Hydra smiled like a flower, and her eyes were rippling. I didn't find that Shu Luo. I've been looking for traces of him, but he's hiding too well. There are no clues left at all. I searched for a long time, but I didn't find any clues. Mrs. Hydra continued. Think about it, Baron Strucker searched for a long time, but he couldn't find him. I've only been in New York. How long do you think I can find each other in such a short period of time? You really think too highly of my ability. Mrs. Hydra did not say that she found Shu Luo. After all, she doesn't want to share the results with others. Shu Luo really has too many secrets. When he came to New York, he even directly took over the Osborne Company. And after he took over, Osborne rises directly and becomes a kind new star, shining on the whole medical field. To say that the rise of Osborne has nothing to do with him. Mrs. Hydra is not convinced. The rise of Osborne must have an extremely important connection with Shu Luo. Otherwise, how could a company that is about to go bankrupt jump up in such a short period of time, with a prominent head and eyes all over the United States? And the last time she found Shu Luo, the amazing sense of oppression he gave her. Just let her know that the opponent's strength is probably far beyond Ping's imagination. So in Mrs. Hydra's place, Shu Luo is a huge amounts of mysterious treasure. Even Mrs. Hydra feels that this guy Shu Luo probably wasn't created by that trash of Steric. It is probably because of Shu Luo that he has come to this point today. She used to think that it was Strax's plan to make a super soldier, and then create a big killer. But with the recent contact, she faintly felt that Shu Luo's achievements might have a great relationship with herself. She wants to dig out this treasure by herself, but she doesn't want others to take a piece of it. After all, everyone wants the benefits to be their own, and no one wants to share the benefits with others. Although they are all Hydra people, but it doesn't mean that their interests are exactly the same. The robot said, I didn't find any clues about him. How is this possible? I've heard that you've been hiding your tracks these days, so you should be looking for that guy. We are all Hydra people, we should share what we have, so that we can better strengthen our power. Only when we unite can we exert the greatest effect. Only then can we hold that Shu Luo in our own hands. W. Steric wanted to swallow that Shu Luo by himself, but he ended up in this miserable situation. We should learn lessons and work together to achieve good results. After listening to Dr. Zola's words, Mrs. Hydra smiled on her face, but said in her heart, I believe you. Mrs. Hydra said, I really haven't found any news about him. The reason why I hid my tracks was to investigate secretly in order not to scare the snake away. But I ended up finding nothing. Here. Dr. Zola also understood that the other party did not want to share information with him. So he said, "Okay, since you don't want to say it, then I can't help it. Then we can only rely on our own means and see who can take down Shu Luo earlier." Finished. The robot stood up. He paused. "By the way, the hive is coming back. I guess he should be very willing to cooperate with me by then. I don't know, when the time comes, you will be able to compete and beat the two of us. By the way, don't do anything to betray the organization, otherwise, you understand, the consequences will be very serious. You will face the pursuit of the whole Hydra." Hear from Dr. Zola. Madam Hydra's expression changed slightly. After Dr. Zola finished his last words, the red light in the eyes disappeared. Return to normal. Mrs. Hydra understands that Dr. Zola is offline. She looked at the robot and didn't speak. "It's just that my heart is quite heavy. The hive, that is a very powerful existence. The most important thing is to be able to parasitize on others. It has a very strong parasitic ability, can obtain other people's memories, and enhance other people's strength. If the hive cooperates with Dr. Zola, it may cause huge amounts of trouble to Shu Luo, and it is even possible to capture Shu Luo away. After all, the ability of the hive is too powerful. In that case, she would have nothing to do with fetching water from the bamboo basket." Dr. Zola's robot left the room immediately. The pensive Mrs. Hydra was left behind. Mrs. Hydra murmured, "Unexpectedly, the hive that was exiled will come back. How does Zola know this information? How I don't know at all." Hydra murmured, "No, I have to do something. Otherwise, when Zola and the hive really find Shu Luo, then Shu Luo will be finished." When Mrs. Hydra communicated with Dr. Zola, the other side, two other Hydra executives are also communicating. It was Baron Strucker and another Hydra executive, Siren. The Siren is a powerful mutant with the ability to release unusually powerful sound waves. It can use powerful sound waves to attack and defend, deter others, and even conduct high-speed flights through sound waves. A very powerful supervillain. Baron Strucker looked at the Siren. "Let's cooperate and help me catch Shu Luo." Hearing this, the sea demon smiled and said, "Is there anything good for me?" Strack said, "We will share the results of capturing Shu Luo." Siren said, "Are you going to share the secret experiment that made Shu Luo so powerful?" Strack nodded. In fact, only Strack knew that there was no so-called secret experiment in his hands. Shu Luo is so powerful, it is not caused by him at all. That is the opponent's own ability, it's just that no one believed him. Definitely, it is impossible for him to talk about Shu Luo's terrifying research ability, otherwise, it will only cause more people to covet and become ambitious. This guy Shu Luo has continuously researched the super soldier serum, and he was able to kill his core team later. It shows that the opponent's strength is stronger. This shows that Shu Luo has further strengthened himself. Strack understood that Shu Luo's degree of genius was probably far beyond everyone's imagination. Once Shu Luo is caught, he will get an inexhaustible treasure. He recruited the sea monster this time because he wanted to cooperate with the sea monster and take down Shu Luo. He also has a strong scientific research team and sophisticated equipment in his hands. Only in his hands can Shu Luo exert its greatest effect. Therefore, it is the best choice for Kraken to cooperate with him. The sea monster said, "Do you know where Shu Luo is now?" Strucker narrowed his eyes slightly, revealing a smile. "See what Baron Strucker looks like." The Siren's eyes lit up slightly. "So you know the other party's location?" Baron Strucker said, "You should know that Zola and Mrs. Hydra are both looking for Shu Luo." The sea monster nodded immediately. "I definitely know this. They are all trying their best to find that Shu Luo, wanting to obtain the mystery on Shu Luo." The sea monster raised his eyebrows slightly. "Why did they find Shu Luo?" Baron Strucker said, "Zola, I don't know, but Mrs. Hydra should have found that Shu Luo." "Hear, hear." The sea monster said, "So what if she knows? With her temperament, it is impossible to share with us. She definitely wants to keep this achievement for herself." "Hear, hear." Baron Strucker laughed. "You're right, she really couldn't have shared it with us. But I have already placed eyeliner around her in. After all, the entire Hydra army was built by me, except Zola's army full of robots. Other aspects basically have my eyeliner more or less." In order to further gain the trust of the Siren, Baron Strucker exposed his little secret to the other party. However, it is not a big problem for this little secret to be exposed to the sea monster. After all, the Kraken was originally a loner and did not establish its own cronies. Basically, it used Hydra's public resources and Hydra's human resources. Although there is no loyalty, it is easy to use in many cases and saves brainpower. Therefore, Siren will not have much problem with this kind of secret. According to my eyeliner, Mrs. Hydra has found Shu Luo's position. It's just that Mrs. Hydra is very cautious, covering Shu Luo's current identity tightly, but my eyeliner will soon be able to find Shu Luo. Hear Strucker's words. The sea monster next to him said, "My good fellow, it turns out that you have hidden such a trick. Fortunately, I have always been a loner, and I don't have too many subordinates, otherwise you will be under surveillance." Baron Strucker said, "How, with me? Mrs. Hydra is definitely not willing to share a piece of the pie. After all, there has been no sharing of information. As for Zola, it's the same. Now, only I am the most sincere. With our cooperation, we will definitely be able to take down Shu Luo. Believe me, the mysteries in him will definitely benefit you and me a lot." The sea monster said, "I heard that the kid is still a bit powerful, and Bai Zhang single-handedly wiped out your core team." Hearing this, Strack showed a hint of embarrassment. Strack immediately said seriously, "That's true, but although that kid is powerful, he's nothing compared to you. After all, your sonic attack is very powerful. Even if it's at the level of Hulk, you can deal with it 1 or 2. Why? What's more, it's just a small character like Shu Luo with a little bit of power." The sea monster laughed and said, "Don't put a high hat on me. That kid can destroy your core team, so he can't be a small character. However, I am willing to cooperate with you, because I also feel that the mystery of this kid can benefit me a lot." He continued, "Don't worry, although this kid does have something, it should not be underestimated. But I can still handle it. At that time, as long as I meet him, I will definitely be able to take him down." The siren showed a trace of confidence. Hear the siren's words. Baron Strucker showed a hint of joy. "Okay. Then we will set off immediately and rush to New York City." By the time I arrived in New York, my eyeliner had almost figured out Shu Luo's real identity. Siren nodded. The two immediately set off for New York. Call out. A fighter car took off from Hydra's secret base and shot towards New York. It pierced the sky. Take a long white horse, across the blue sky. Among the military bases, inside a high-level laboratory. General Ross, naked to the waist, came out. He has strong muscles all over his body. This is created by his usual exercise. Although he is a general, General Ross never relaxes his training. Watching General Ross come out, the soldiers and researchers next to him hurried up. The soldiers took their military uniforms and wanted to put them on for General Ross, but General Ross refused. The person in charge of the research came up, looked at the safe and sound General Ross. His pupils trembled slightly. "Will the general succeeded?" General Ross nodded slightly. "It should be successful." Finished talking. General Ross's whole body began to swell, and at the same time, his skin began to turn red. Next moment, a red giant appeared in the eyes of everyone. That appearance is somewhat similar to the Hulk, but the color and appearance are different from the Hulk. In terms of size, it is basically the same as the Hulk. When the soldiers next to him saw this scene, their eyeballs almost popped out. Oh my god. The general has turned into such a terrifying existence. Seeing this scene, the person in charge had a look of joy in his eyes. Great. Great. Looks like God is blessing the general. This experiment is a success. Rose felt the huge power gushing out of his body, and a bright smile appeared on his face. Very good, this power is really great. Is this the power that the Hulk and the Abomination have? It is indeed too powerful, too intoxicating. Boom. General Ross moved, shot out, rushed to the front in an instant, and punched an armored vehicle. Bang. Smash that car into a discus directly. The power left the surrounding people stunned. After all, General Ross was an ordinary person before. It is really amazing to have the mighty power of a god in a blink of an eye. General Ross looked at the discus in front of him and laughed. He raised an extremely thick red giant hand, and whispered, "Richard, I don't know where you are. I don't know if we can win against you now. You took away my people again and again, and took away my treasures." Speaking of which, a hint of anger flashed in General Ross's eyes. Soon, the trace of anger turned into a stream of anger, burning fiercely in his eyes. This is not illusory anger, but real fire, burning in the eyes of General Ross. With fiery enthusiasm, the person in charge at the side saw this scene with a hint of surprise on his face. General Ross clenched his fists. "Richard, I will definitely get back everything I lost. At the same time, I will completely subdue you. I will let you suffer." Speaking of which, the anger in General Ross's heart was churning. At the same time, the temperature of his whole body is also rising. The muscles on his body were knotted like a horned dragon, and the blood vessels burst out. As the temperature rose, Those blood vessels began to light up with flames, and the crimson light flowed inside, becoming brighter and brighter. Waves of heat diffused from the red giant's body, throwing them around.